Hello, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. Kev doing his ventriloquist act there. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the United Stand. It's the OLE Out debate. We're not going to go OLE in or OLE out debate. We're going to go OLE Out debate because, to be honest, the start of the season is dreadful. The football is dreadful. We've had it up to the back teeth with social media FC, and there were back again crap. And we've made a signing of our own. Ricky will be joining us any minute. So the return of Ricky. I think Adam's there pulling his face. I think it's going to be that sort of a show. I think there's going to be disagreements, but that's the whole point about a debate. And obviously we want to get your thoughts and everything involved. Ricky will be in any minute. Don't worry about that. But we're going to start off. First of all, we'll go ladies first. We'll go Beth. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you're going to get the hardest question here. Where are you at with this? Is it sack him now? There was a poll actually on the United Stand website, which I will. Here he is! He's here! Yeah. Return of the Rick. Once again, return of the Rick. One more time.
Ricky, you slime man. How you doing, Mixter?
The Godfather.
You're right.
We're very good. We're just saying there that this is going to be a big show, which I think you're going to like, Ricky, because we're going to be talking Greenwood, the Ronaldo impact, what's going wrong, the midfield. We're going deep. It could go 2 hours tonight. It's going to be a massive show. But we're going to start off with the question, and Beth's just about to answer it. What I was going to say to you, Beth, is that we put a poll out on our community tab. How long Solskjaer going to last as United manager? This was the breakdown with over nearly 100,000 people voted. 20% said 1 week, 15% said 1 month, 29% said Christmas, and end of the season was 21%, and 15% said he'll be here for years. So it's very split. It's not, some people are saying get to Christmas, some people are saying a week. Where are you, Beth, right now with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Are you happy? Are you angry? What is it?
I think the people saying 20% for 1 week it's a bit of wishful thinking. That, to be honest, for me personally, as I've said a million times before, is even last year when people were saying Ole out at this point, when they were saying Ole out after Christmas, when they were saying Ole out towards the end of the season, I always said I want him to get his signings in, I want him to get his squad together, and then you can judge the identity of the team and how we are going to be moving forward. Since we've had them signings in and there's absolutely no excuses, you can say the CDM, you can say that you've brought in Varane, Sancho, Ronaldo, there's no excuses. And for me, we've actually gone backwards. We weren't great last season, no we weren't, but this season it's got even worse. The gaps are starting to show. There's absolutely no improvement. There's no direction. I don't think Ole even knows his best team. And to me, even when I watch his press conferences that I tended to avoid because I just think he doesn't speak very well in them, but I've been watching them recently and even him himself seems so out of touch with what's going on. It seems like he doesn't really have a clue. There's no tactical breakdown. His excuses don't make sense. And I feel like each week, if you have this break for the international week, which is where we knew we needed to bounce back. You knew Leicester was the game where we needed to get on a good run of form. And the way we played, it was just, I felt like saying, what have you done? What have you done for all this time? Because there's so many issues in that team. And for me personally, I just think my patience has run out and it's gone a little bit too far for me. And I said before the show went live, and it is what it is. Like, if I had a choice now to get someone in who personally I thought is a better tactical manager and could take this team to the next level, I would choose to do that right now, because I don't think he has the capabilities to get past this part. We've never seen him do it before, and would it not have happened by now if he's brought in these signings and he said he wanted to switch to a 4-3-3? All these things have come out and nothing's changed, and I don't see any improvement whatsoever, and I don't see any change each week. It's just the same thing. You turn up at Old Trafford, if you get a lucky few goals, yeah, we've won the game, but it's not good to watch. It's not good to watch. And then if we don't, we concede. The thing is, we've actually started to concede even more goals, which is even more worrying. So for me, I just don't see any identity, no direction, and I don't think he can take us to the next level. That's just my personal opinion on it.
Interesting. We'll get Ricky on because he's not been on for so long. I suppose you've probably got a few more points to make, Ricky. But in relation to Solskjaer right now, I said this morning, I'd argue with anybody who said that it's a negative point to say that you're to be Ole out. I mean, I think that apparently this is his best start to the season in the last three. I mean, how did we let him carry on the last two? I just do not know. But apparently it's not his worst start to a season, but I think it is when you take into account the quality of player, the teams we've played. what are your thoughts, Ricky? And you know, is it right to be thinking about pulling the trigger and getting rid of him?
100% it is, yeah. He's not getting the best out of the players, but I've said this numerous times on here. He doesn't know who the best players are, and he doesn't know anything about team shape. I know Beth's often ridiculed me about talking about team shape. If you cast your mind back to when we got beat 6-1 by Spurs last season, and I said we've had Rashford and Greenwood on the flanks, and we need to put Juan Mata and Dan James on the flanks, get the team shape right, get more players behind the ball. He did that. He actually, you'll remember that well, Mark. I sent you a long message about it, what the team should be. And he virtually picked the team.
I don't know whether I read it, though. I don't always read them.
He virtually picked the team. He virtually picked the team as I said it should be. I remember you putting it out there. Bloody hell, it's the same team that Rick says it should be. Mata and James were on the wings. We just got beat 6-1 by Spurs. I know that's Spurs. I know we had a man sent off, but we went to Newcastle and won 4-1. And then we played Chelsea at Old Trafford, and he kept him in, and we drew 0-0. You know, 0-0 draws against the likes of Chelsea now are pretty good results. You know, you've got to get your team shape right. You've got to get players who want to be behind the ball naturally. And now I've written quite a few comments down. This is what I wanted to speak about. I'll come back to this later. But Gary Neville's comments. Gary Neville is saying now exactly what I've been saying for 18 months. And Carragher's taking the mickey out of him, saying, I saw your... Gary Neville said, didn't he? We've got Bruno, Pogba, we've got Greenwood, we've got Ronaldo and Sancho all in the same team. It's too many forwards. There's not enough players behind the ball. Gary Neville, he said that last night. He's a well-respected pundit who's won the Premier League dozens, however many times, in the Champions League. He's now saying that I've been saying for 18 months... And yet he's been saying, and Jamie Carragher's pointed it out, he's been like all the fans saying, we've got to get Pogba, Bruno.
He said it 2 weeks ago, Ricky. He had an attacking team.
He actually put a team up, and Jamie Carragher is taking a mickey out of him now, saying, this is the team that you said it should be only 2 weeks ago, and now you're saying... And then Gary Neville's response was, but that was against Everton and Villarreal, showing a complete lack of understanding of the game. You've got to play with more players behind the ball, no matter who you're playing against. No matter who you're playing against, it's too many forwards. I've been saying it for 18 months. Solskjaer still doesn't get it. And Gary Neville, I don't know if he's pretending to get it, because, like you just said, 2 weeks ago, he was going with this team.
He's just protecting his mate. He's just protecting his mate. I think it's disgrace. And I was going to ask you about that, Kev, and then we'll go to Adam. I mean, where are you now, Kev? You said before we started the show you're not very happy. I said you're not very well. You said no, it's United. I mean, it's a difficult thing to say OLE out. Are you at that point? And you know why do you? I think Ricky's right as well. Why is Gary Neville, one of the most respected pundits, ex-United players, blaming it on the players, blaming it on everything else, changing his mind here, there, and there, and won't be? Yeah, if he was called Jose Solskjaer, he'd be all over him.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's friends, United friends, we're best friends, you know, and all that shit. Manchester friends. Just draw a line in the sand. We know that you've mates with him, you played with him or whatever, and yesterday, is it the final straw? Yeah, listen, I'm fed up. And yesterday after the game, I'm more pacing around the house, man, saying I am fed up. I'm just fed up with this because I do not understand where it's going. And I have given this man time. I respect everything he's done for Manchester United. I will never call him out. I'm not going to go down the line of calling him a clown and discarding him like that. I will not say that. But there comes a certain point where you look at it. And yesterday for me was the wake-up call. And I think that was absolutely abysmal man management for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to even consider throwing Harry Maguire into that game. Harry Maguire will say, yes, I want to play. That is up to you to decide whether he's fit enough to play. You watch him in training. He's thrown him into that game yesterday. They've just attacked Harry Maguire. Iniacho and Vardy have just gone for him. And that would have been their game plan. We all know that as Manchester United fans. Where do we sit at the moment? Yeah, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, yeah, fair enough, right? And it gets to the point, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, if he, in terms of being in construction or something, if he's the bricklayer, he's ripped out the dead wood, cleared it out, built the foundations up. He's got to a certain point and it gets to the point where you look at it and go, right, now we need to put a roof on this house. You need a joiner, another trade to come in and just finish it all off. I am very thankful for everything Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has done at Manchester United. I will always thank him, like I say, clearing out the dead wood, getting in the players that he has done. But I think he is out of his depth now. He's definitely out of his depth. I cannot defend him anymore. I love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I love what he did for Manchester United, but on sentiment, I can't. Honestly, I don't know what to say. It gets to the point because it gets emotional as well, and you get to the facts where you think you don't want to call out one of your own. And like Ricky just said then about Gary Neville and the likes of Scholes and that, they're probably the same as us because they are Manchester United fans, and they're looking at it and going, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but you know, Manchester United is a massive club, and we get to the point where you think, no, you know, I'm sorry, mate, you've had your chance. You know, you've done this job, you've taken it to a certain extent, but can it continue? We are Moments FC. We're living on moments of brilliance like Greenwood scoring that goal yesterday. But apart from that, no, as a team, nothing.
It's interesting because just before we go to Adam, we're going to ask Adam about, you know, because I heard Adam's fan cam, and yeah, he can say he's Ollie out or Ollie in, whatever, but I want to know what he thinks about what's going to happen and what should happen, especially considering who's in charge. But just to add to that, just reminded me, I got loads of messages today, DMs and everything, and somebody said to me, they said, you know what Kev's just said there, spot on, because it reminded me of the message, that this is emotional torture now. If this was Van Gaal or Mourinho, we'd all quite happily go, he's out of his depth, he's messing this club up, he's got to go. It's the emotional attachment of a legend of this club that is actually sinking us. It's the reason Neville and Scholes aren't talking. It's the reason Roy Keane's not talking. And it's the reason the Glazers are coining it in, because they know he's a security blanket. They know the fans won't go in too much on the manager, and therefore the Glazers can continue protecting themselves and coining it in. And I think that's quite an interesting way to look at it, Adam, because I do think it's true. I think, you know, everybody is emotionally tortured because it's Ollie. If it wasn't Ollie and it was Gareth Southgate or it was David Moyes, we'd be sat here going, get this absolute pretender out of our football club.
Mate, do you know what? Touching on that emotional side of things there, obviously, as everyone knows, I do the fan vlogs after the game, and what was very apparent yesterday, and totally links into what Kev and yourself and whoever it was in the DM and the message there was saying yesterday, it was like talking before we filmed the fan vlog. It's like, I don't want to say this. I don't want to do that. Is it going to seem bad? And it's tearing fans apart. I've never seen an away section empty like yesterday's did. It was just, I've never seen anything like it. Ollie had to run over straight after the final whistle to make sure there was someone to clap to, because literally all the United fans were gone. Fans were coming out yesterday that Scarpa did gone, they'd have enough. And people were saying yesterday, people who were on the fan vlogs yesterday were saying, I'm not sure, just say it as it is, you know, just speak your mind, speak from the heart and tell me exactly how it is. And one of them messaged me back today and says, thanks for that. I thought I was going to get absolutely obliterated in the comments for what I said. And he was being honest.
It's a guilt trip, isn't it? It's a guilt trip. It's an emotional guilt trip.
This is what it is. Fans feel like they're being torn. And I've said this a few weeks now. It started for me at the Newcastle game this season when the Ronaldo honeymoon had finished. Just started. It pretty much started and finished in one game for me, because I got criticised for saying I really wasn't impressed. And the Newcastle game was the same as the last few games, except Ronaldo took a chance from a punt from Greenwood, and it would have been the same game that we've seen the last 3 or 4 weeks. And outside, it went on week from there with the fans, and they were all saying the same things. It's like the emotional side of this is being overwhelmed by the reality now of what they're watching. You cannot blink. You can't be blinkered to what you're watching on the pitch. There is no discipline. There is absolutely no cohesion at all. Someone messaged me again today and just said, look, I'm not seeing any triangles. I can't remember the last time United passed away through a team. Yesterday, 30-yard scream and a long punt from Lindelof that Rashford read well. There's no chances. First shot we had inside their box was Rashford's. And literally no one in the United end was expecting it. We were shocked that it went in. It's like we didn't deserve it. How can you not deserve a goal? And that's exactly how we've been playing all season.
Well, it's a shit goal as well,
barring
isn't it?
the
I mean,
Leeds.
I'm sure Ricky and everyone would agree. It's a crap goal.
You've nailed it there. Kev nailed it. You nailed it there, Mark. And whoever it was in the who messaged you, absolutely smashed it. It feels like we're being taken for granted. It feels like we're being betrayed here, because you said just off air, and like the crap with all the players coming out on social media afterwards. I couldn't give a toss how you feel right now. How do you think we feel? You know what I mean? Yesterday we're watching multi-million-pound players, or what we've spent on them. One of them we bought from the club we were playing yesterday, who we were getting ripped by their fans for, rightly so, and Harry Maguire. And I'm just seeing absolutely nothing. You could say yesterday, 2 homegrown players in Rashford and Greenwood got us goals. You know what? Sometimes I would just strip this team bare and just let the youth team play. That's how bad they make me feel, because I just want to see a bit of passion. I want to see a mentality. I want to see that United blood, that DNA that Ollie goes on about all the time, which is just complete bollocks coming out of his mouth. It's just not there. It does not exist. And right now, I'm looking at this. I don't see how Ollie himself sorts this out. I can't see how he fixes the Ronaldo problem, because that is a problem, whether you want to ignore it or not. It's a massive problem. We're playing with 10 men because he doesn't know how to adapt to it. It is, and we'll probably get into that, I'm guessing anyway, but this is a huge problem.
Let's go with the flow. Let's go into the Ronaldo point, and we'll come back to you on that, Adam, because you've started it off. We'll go you, Kev, and we'll work back down here. So for me, I'm stunned by the Ronaldo issue. I saw Alex, and he spoke to us on Thursday night about Cavani should play over Ronaldo because he moves around a lot. And I'm like, I know exactly what people mean, but when you buy an icon, one of the best players the world's ever seen, you don't tell him to adapt to you. You don't tell him to start pressing when he's never done it. If you're going to buy Ronaldo, you play to Ronaldo. You don't put Ronaldo in your team and then say, he's not running around, he's not tracking back. Don't fucking buy Ronaldo then. Yeah, it's as simple as that. Pep wanted Ronaldo because he would have scored 50 goals in that team, because they camp on the edge of the box and they create chances. We talk about graveyard shifts. I remember as being linked to Haaland and Kane back in April, and people were getting hard-ons, and I said, no, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. Why buy a striker when we've not built a cake? Icing on a cake, we've not built a cake. I was over the moon with Ronaldo coming back. I'm really happy he's here, but I'm not having him criticised. This has got nothing to do with Ronaldo if we think he needs to start pressing from the front. I agree, he doesn't fit into our system. It ain't bloody his fault. He's one of the world's best players. And you play to his strengths. I said it yesterday. I said Ronaldo is one of the best headers in world football you've ever seen. How many crosses did we put in yesterday? It's embarrassing. Absolutely no width. And Ricky's absolutely bang on when we talk about cohesion and a game plan. And even Ricky would say the likes of Dan James. I was speaking to a mate after the match yesterday, rang me up. And even he said, you look at Dan James was actually in some games against, say, the likes of Man City, was put in for a reason. It's not because he's a world beater. It's because you're going to get a shift out of him and you're going to get something out of him. We have got too many individuals at the minute where you look at it and it's just crazy. We're littered with like world-class players. But on the Ronaldo one, Ronaldo, you play to his strengths. You've got one of the best players ever in world football. Do you play to his strengths? No. We're actually making him look quite average. And that's not Ronaldo that's average. That's whatever is coming out in this game, so-called game plan. There's nothing. What's going on? You play to his strengths. You've got Ronaldo in the team, for Christ's sake. So you play to his strengths. The same with Cavani. And I understand when Cavani plays, and I always say he brings something really different because he's a top-class number 9. He presses from the front. And I think if you want to press, then the press starts from the front. Ronaldo won't do that. He will not do that, Manchester United. He ain't got the legs to do it, but give him the ball, scores a goal. Absolutely simple. And we are not supplying Ronaldo with anything at the minute. And that's why it's looking so bad at the minute. Ricky, I mean, I'm sure you're going to have a very tactical analysis on this. Where are you with Ronaldo? Because I don't disagree that a Cavani will suit us better pressing, but I think it's a failure on the coaches. I think it's a failure on the fan base to start blaming Ronaldo. I mean, don't buy Ronaldo if he's not going to work the system.
Yeah, I've got plenty to say about Ronaldo, but if I can just have 20 seconds talking about the previous subjects, about us having too many forwards. I went to watch my grandson's team yesterday. There's under sevens, he's only 6 years of age, and they often get caught with too many forwards. And we was trying to teach Freddie yesterday, make sure you get behind the ball quickly. And I said to some of the lads there, it's like watching United, all the kids are all up front all at the same time. There's not enough behind the ball. And I think Freddie might be watching, and I think yesterday watching a 6-year-old team, it was like watching United. But anyway, Ronaldo. I saw an interview with two lads after the game yesterday. Thought it was very interesting what they were talking about, and lots of different things they spoke about were quite good. But something that they did say was that Ronaldo's now 36 and we've got Mason Greenwood who's 20, and they said that we should. This is something that I disagreed with them about, by the way. A lot of what they did say I agreed with. They said we need to build the team around Mason Greenwood. We shouldn't be trying to build the team around a 36-year-old. What I think they might be, they didn't actually say this, but I'm assuming they mean switching to centre forward, because you don't generally build your team around a right winger, do you? So they said build your team around Greenwood, not build your team around Ronaldo. He's 20, he's got loads of time left, and as people seem to think, he's going to be a great player. They did say that there's not enough crosses coming into the box, so Ronaldo's not getting the service that he needs. So if you add different little bits together of what they're talking about, first of all, they want to build the team around Greenwood, but Ronaldo's not getting chances made for him. So it doesn't mean we'll make chances for Greenwood. And
Martial didn't, Cavani didn't.
Yeah, even worse than that, they actually did touch on the fact that he's fantastic in the air, Ronaldo. Now, no matter, surely even the biggest fan of Mason Greenwood will agree that he ain't particularly good in the air. Do you know what I mean? So where's the chances coming from, and where's the crosses coming from? We're not getting crosses in anyway. And if we do get crosses in, they're going to leave the player out who's great in the air for the one who isn't so great in the air. And so add fuel to the fire. Whose job is it to put these crosses in that aren't coming in? It's Mason Greenwood's job. He's playing on the wing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's his job. That's his job if the manager tells him. So that comes down to the manager again, because what's Ollie telling Mason Greenwood?
He also rarely
should be doing what
on that side. He rarely gets any support whatsoever.
It doesn't.
There was a great
like
stat yesterday. Actually,
told.
I don't know whether anyone saw this. A great stat yesterday, and I think Ricky will like this one as well. See, I'm trying to impress Ricky because he's back. All my stats. I've been checking my stats. I've got my notes, but apparently yesterday, Sancho got. I'm going to make this up, but it's around this. So Sancho received the ball 10 times from Shaw, and Sancho gave it back to Shaw, I think 6 times. Wan-Bissaka gave the ball 8 times to Mason Greenwood and got it back no times. Now, to me, that shows you Sancho knows how to play off the wing, and Greenwood is a wide forward. And people say Wan-Bissaka doesn't help Greenwood out. I don't think Wan-Bissaka really gets helped out by his right winger. I don't, because I think Mason Greenwood's a wide forward.
On that there, Ricky will point out the fact that Greenwood doesn't like to track back. Well, no centre forward likes to track back. That's facts. So it's like what's going through Aaron Wan-Bissaka's head in terms of, I'll pass it to Greenwood. I'm not going to go for an overlap. Greenwood's not seeing anyone overlapping him, so he takes it himself. There's just no cohesion at all. There's no cohesion at all in it. I've not seen Luke Shaw go past Sancho once yet and get to the byline, offer him an overlap. It's back to the winger, pass it backwards to the fullback, and then we go again. And we know we can't play through the middle. We talked about triangles a second ago. We're not going to pass through any team through the middle. We need to get the ball out wide. We need to stretch the game. We just, for some reason, and Ricky will back me up on this, Shaw is completely out of sorts at the moment. We've discussed this before personally. He looks like he's injured. He come out with that comment the other day saying he didn't train all week before the Villa game. This comes down to instruction and coaching again. It's like you've got an Alex Telles there, one of the best crosses I've seen in a long time there, raring to go. Do you know? And I'm not going to see him get a chance because if you've got a player that's going to not train all week and you're still going to put him ahead of another player, you could bring in Eric Bailly from Maguire on this as well. You've got fit players there. And he talked the other day, Ollie, about getting everyone absolutely ready towards the back end of the season. Everyone's got to be fit and raring to go. Well, he just completely contradicted himself in the first game that he's had to try and do that. He's not giving any forward players any chance whatsoever to settle in to a style of play, to one position. It's the only player I know is going to play. Probably you'd say Bruno at 10, Ronaldo up front. Then it's take your guess. Take your guess on the wings. He could be putting anyone in any other week. Sancho, for me, needs to be in on the right-hand side and stay on the right-hand side. You just say to players, look, you have to compete for that position. But then these players are going to come in, do things that they shouldn't be doing just to try and prove a point to Ole to stay in the team. And Greenwood's probably doing too much to try and prove a point because he knows Rashford's coming back now. And he knows that Ole is going to play Rashford every single game. Martial is finished in Ole's eyes. He's not going to ever get back in the team now. No. And this is where these players are. They're coming on trying to do too much because they don't think they're going to get a chance again. And no one, and I think I could sort of say Greenwood, yeah, I can understand that selfish tag he's getting because it's not his rightful position, in my opinion. I do think he's trying to do too much, but he knows that his days are numbered now that Rashford is back. So he's going to be trying to do things that he probably shouldn't be doing. There's no discipline. I keep saying there's no discipline from the coaching. There's no discipline in any of these players. You can move that to every area of the pitch. It's just absolutely chaotic in every position in our team because it changes every single week. Ricky and me spoke about this at the start when we all had our aspirations. You need a settled team, maybe one or two changes here and there. I've seen none of it. That midfield combination has changed about 10 times already this season. And how are the forwards supposed to link to two midfielders who don't know who's going to be there next week, build up some form of rapport? Same with the centre-backs. Everyone is playing with different players constantly, and that's on Ole. That's on the coaches. I think he's lost control completely, and some of the players they're being hung out to dry, in my opinion. They really are.
I think I'm going to go to you, Beth, because I'm going to read some quotes and I want you to get the first thought on this, on what Ollie's going to change, because he says he's going to change something. So you can bring in your Ronaldo thoughts on that. But I think Adam's hit a great point here. And I'd sort of thought it, but I'll just say it. If this was Mourinho or Van Gaal, you would have certain ex-players saying he's lost the dressing room, he's got no discipline. You've got a player in Harry Maguire who trains for the first time on grass on Friday morning and plays Saturday afternoon. That's a player saying to Ollie, I want to play. A strong manager says, sorry, Harry, no. He's gone in and said, I want to play. And he's gone, all right, I'll take that decision. You know, ultimately, you've also got players posting out on social media. Rashford straight after the game, Greenwood this afternoon, De Gea this afternoon. 3 players I really like. And maybe it's their PR, maybe it's United. But I'm telling you now, Roy Keane rams their phone up their arse. Like, that is not happening after that result. You are not putting out, we go again or anything like that. That's a lack of discipline. That's a lack of respect. It undermines the manager. The third thing as well is that Mason Greenwood, I saw clips of Mason Greenwood. I saw Mason Greenwood playing as a youth player. He ain't playing any better at 20 than he was as a youth player, and neither's Rashford. They're purely playing off their talent. They get the ball, they run in behind, they cut inside and they shoot. They're not being... Mason Greenwood is a generational talent. He's the same player he was at 17. He cuts in, he shoots off both feet. He's not learned to link up. He's not learned positional discipline. He's not learned to put a cross in the box sometimes. He's not learning to mix it up. He's not learning to pass to Wan-Bissaka when he overlaps. He's a brilliant player who is playing the same football he was playing at 17 because we've not developed him. There's a lack of discipline in that team. But Beth, let me just read you this. This came from Ollie after the game. Lately, we've not been in great form. We've lost too many points. That's something we've got to look at. We might have to change it. Do we need more legs in there? What do we need? I've got many good players. Fred, Edison, Cavani, you missed them. I am not making excuses for the team I put out there. They're top footballers we've got to produce. It says everything. Our best player was David De Gea. We have to dust ourselves off, make sure that when we come in again, we freshen our minds. We've lost ourselves, look ourselves in the mirror. I've looked at myself in the mirror and make sure we perform. That is the nature of football. You have to respond to setbacks. But basically, he's talking about more legs in there. Is this a back five? And also, what do you think about Ronaldo?
I hope it's not a back five, but to be honest, what Ollie says after the game, it doesn't wash because there's no taking responsibility for the issues. First of all, saying you miss Fred and Cavani. Fred's been absolutely terrible for the last few weeks and he never plays Cavani. So that's That's not true whatsoever. And saying you need more legs in there, I've said this point a million times. It's not about just sticking Fred and McTominay behind the ball and trying to close that gap. It's like, do you think Pep Guardiola goes out into the game and thinks, yeah, I'm going to pick these players? Not that great, no, but they'll put a shift in there. How are we talking about, oh, we shouldn't have let Dan James go because he puts a shift in? We shouldn't be picking players that aren't good quality because of Ollie's lack of tactical coaching. Like, we shouldn't be doing that. You want to pick players that will put a shift in just because you can't coach a team to play well. You can't actually coach big name players with a lot of quality to play well. It's not an excuse. Manchester City, I'm not saying I want to be exactly like Manchester City, but they play with Rodri. That's their only CDM, and they play very good football because they can pass the ball. You know exactly what positions they're moving into. You know exactly who they're passing to. They have patterns of play all the time, all around the box. They look very, very well drilled. The fullbacks know when to overlap. They know when to not. They know when to cut inside. They know when to not do that. We literally look like we've been put on a pitch. Bruno, for starters, I love Bruno to pieces, but he runs around everywhere. He's not been told a single thing from Solskjaer what to do, and he creates so many gaps in the midfield because he's running all around the pitch. If you're Ollie, you're telling him when to run, when not to, when to drop back, when to go. He's not got that whatsoever. Wan-Bissaka's another one. He doesn't know when he's going to go forward and when he's going to drop back, and half the time he doesn't go forward because he's scared of getting back. Exactly what you said. Luke Shaw recently, he's not been getting forward. That must be from the manager. That must be because he was getting forward all the time at the end of last season. He's not suddenly just deciding in his brain, no, I'm not going to make that today. He must have been told it. And then you get McTominay in these games, playing as a lone CDM, getting left completely on his own. You don't have to play players that are just going to stick behind the ball and don't have the quality to go forward. You coach these players that have very good quality, what positions they're playing in, and what exactly is going to happen on the football pitch and what the game plan is. It just looks like there's absolutely no game plan. And talking about Ronaldo, I was speaking about it with Alex last night on the fan forum, and I agree, Edison Cavani is a great striker. We are so lucky to have two great strikers, and I think Cavani is class. But Ronaldo is Ronaldo. He's got his stats for a reason. And people saying you can't compare international football. I'm not trying to compare international football, but there's no one else going out and getting a hat-trick for Portugal every time they go out and play, is there? Like, Bruno doesn't get there and start scoring hat-tricks. I know he's not a centre-forward, but he's just above everybody else. He just is. He's been in the game for so long, and if you play to his strengths, he will score you goals. He'll win your Champions Leagues. That's the point about it. But like you said, we've still got Mason Greenwood cutting inside and shooting, not passing to him. You've got Bruno taking long-range shots. There's absolutely no passage of plays to get the ball to Ronaldo. Like you said, best header of the ball, but suddenly Shaw and Wan-Bissaka aren't even trying to get forward. How does that even work? I think it was the Villarreal game. We kept trying to play through the middle. Like Adam said, we can't play through the middle because at Manchester United, it's so crazy to look at it, but we can't pass the ball for more than 5 passes. How can a team that's meant to be going for major trophies not be able to actually pass the ball? You could say it's lack of chemistry. You could say you don't know what runs they're making, the positional spaces. You don't know the roles, and they're not well drilled, like you said. There's no discipline and there's no plan. And if there was a plan and there was any sort of coaching in that team over the summer, you would see passages of play, movements, passing ranges, triangles, like you said, getting out to the width, crossing the balls in to try and get that ball to Ronaldo. And you wouldn't see Ronaldo dropping 200 yards more than he should be doing to get the ball and leaving no number 9 in there. He only does that to even get a touch of the ball. It just really shows that. I generally think Ollie's just gone, right, we're swapping out Cavani and we're putting Ronaldo in this week, guys. That's it. Like, you can't just do that. He's a special type of striker and you have to cater the team to him. I'm not saying that means that it has to be just the Ronaldo show, no. But Bruno can't be doing what Bruno's doing when Ronaldo's in the team. I was speaking about in summer. It just won't work. It just won't work. But for me, nothing is right. There's so many things that are wrong with it. And to blame Ronaldo is just so stupid, because you can put Ronaldo in any other team with a top-class manager and he's going to score many, many, many goals. I mean, look at Ronaldo's career and look at Ollie's. No offense, but one of them has had the best career out of any footballer that there is. He's got all the stats. It's not his problem. And we've been playing like this. We've said it's the graveyard shift for a year now. I think we can see what the problem is, and it's definitely not Ronaldo.
If Ronaldo was at Manchester, if Ronaldo had have gone to Manchester City, I'd say he'd have been on 10 goals already.
He's the top goal scorer, 100%. It's so hard to score goals for our team. And I get what Ricky's saying about team shape. I 100% understand it. I do understand it, but it's just like, you can't just think, oh, I'm just going to put really defensive players in now because I think you can play them forward players, but they've just got to be coached well and they've got to know the positions and you've got to be able to keep the ball because guess what? If you keep the ball, the other team aren't going to get it off you and counter-attack you. That's what City do. They're not defensive. They have Rodri and then the rest is just all attack, but they keep the ball very well. And yeah, our midfield is a massive problem. I think Bruno being too far forward is a massive problem. But again, there's no discipline from the coaches to discipline this midfield. Pogba, he looks like he doesn't know what he's doing in that role. And he's won the World Cup. He's just won the Nations League with France. We always say he's so much better when he plays for France. When he's in our midfield, he genuinely looks lost at the moment. And I just don't think any player knows their role. It's like when Donny van de Beek was doing that interview. Apparently, he's not been told where his best position is at Manchester United. It was somewhat along them lines. If you're Ollie, you are saying, Donny, this is your chance to get in the team. This is the position that I want you to play. You need to work on this, this, and this. All he said is, when the manager tells me where I'm going to play, I'll try and do it. Every player should have a plan and a system in that team. There's absolutely no system to it. Football is about teams, not about individuals. And like I said, it's a shame because Luke Shaw, he did come on a lot under Ollie, but now I think it's the same thing what happened with Rashford, going through injury, getting overplayed. I think Harry Maguire's been overplayed. I think, like you said, Greenwood, exceptional talent, he's not excelling. There's no youth player coming through. The midfield looks terrible. Even Fred, when he went to Brazil, I'm not saying Fred's great, but he played well. He never plays well for us. It's not a coincidence that this is happening with many players in the team. It comes down to one thing, and it's who's running it. And it's not being run very well, or else you'd be able to get a tune out of at least one of them players. And everyone at the moment isn't.
And the main thing is, and the thing that we've all spoken about, we do not have a midfield. How do you win a game of football if you do not have a midfield? We beat Newcastle 4-1 at Old Trafford. I was there. And the amount of times that Newcastle just ran through our midfield, we don't have one. You know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer say, what, we missed the energy of Fred. I thought it was a blessing in disguise. A blessing in disguise that Fred wasn't there yesterday.
Can I come in here? Because you're overlapping there with something that Beth's just said. Beth touched on team shape and saying, like, you need to coach the wingers and they need to get back properly. They're pouring through our midfield because there isn't enough of them. No matter who it is, if it's McTominay and Fred and Pogba, and Pogba and McTominay. When we won the treble, we had Keane and Scholes, but Beckham and Giggs didn't hang around up the park.
I think Bruno needs to get back as well.
They were proper wingers.
Yeah, when the opposition have got the ball, you need 4 men across that park, not 2.
But this is a good point. This is a good point because I wanted to talk about this. Ollie's going to make a change, and I want us to sort of collectively, because there's loads to get through, but I want to collectively sort of get an opinion on what our sort of best team is. But I do agree with Ricky on that, and it's something I've observed. I don't know what anyone else thinks. Is that I don't know when it started. I can't pinpoint it, but it definitely hasn't always been the case. But Bruno's playing as a support striker. He's playing virtually as a support striker. And, you know, Gary Neville said the players need to run and more. And I'm like, did you watch the game, Gary? Right? Like Beth says, Bruno never stops running. It's wasted energy, but he never stops running.
Yep.
Our centre-backs are slow. They were miles away from the front line. I don't care if your press is a 4 or a 6. You can pass through it. If a team's stretched like we were, Leicester just pass their way through us. Bruno's playing as a support striker. Ricky's right. The forwards aren't tracking back. But it always comes back to the same thing. It comes down to coaching to me. And you know, yeah, some of the players are not performing, but it does come down to coaching. They're not getting a tune out of those players at all. And I mean, I don't know what would you? We'll start you, Ricky, because we know what your systems are like. What would you do with United in the next 2 games? Atalanta and Liverpool. Would you go? I mean, Ollie's hinted at a back 5, which will be 3 centre backs. Obviously, might put McTominay in there. I certainly think he'll play McTominay and Fred in some way. 2 midfielders. You lose your wide forwards. You play 2 up front. You know, it makes you wonder why you bought Sancho and you've got Rashford and Greenwood if you're not going to play wide forwards. But Do you think that's the answer now? Is it just backs to the wall and try and grind it out? Because if that's the case, I'd rather he just got sacked tomorrow. I can't be asked. We're not Stoke. You play United way or you don't,
Well, you can play the United way, but you have to earn the right. You have to earn the right in a game of football to be able to take teams on and to be able to go at teams. It doesn't just fall into your lap. You can't just go on the field and say, right, he's brilliant. He's going to run in ragged. He's going to do this, do that, do the other in the attacking sense. You've got to get a foothold in a game, in any game, and dominate your opponent, your own direct opponent. And that means defensively as well as attacking. So you've got to get players in there who will get that team shape right, but get it right naturally. I'd sooner speak about the Liverpool game than the Atlanta game. But they're not too strong. They're going to be tough opposition. There's no two ways about it. But I don't know how good they are. I think it's pretty obvious they're not going to be as good as Liverpool. Against Liverpool, he's just got to go with the best back four that he can do. I wouldn't be against him going with a back three if he had Lindelof, Maguire, and Varane all available. I don't trust Bailey. He's too clumsy. I know he's quick, but he's too clumsy. I remember him he scored a stupid own goal against Liverpool in a game once, and he also dragged somebody down on the dead ball line. And if we had VAR in them days, it would have been a pen without a doubt. He's too clumsy, Bailey. I won't have Bailey in there. So if we haven't got Varane, I would go with a back four of Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, and Shaw. So if we can't go with a back four, we've got to pack the midfield. We've got to stop them getting through the midfield. So in the centre of the field. Now, a lot of people will go, oh, it's too defensive. We're in danger of getting beat 4-1 again, a 4-2. They beat us 4-2 6 months ago. We just got beat 4-2 by Leicester. We've got to earn the right to attack them. We can't just go out and attack them. We've got to earn the right. He needs to put McTominay, Matic, and I'll let you choose, either Pogba or Fred. Pogba's obviously a better player than Fred, but Fred won't get caught out of position as often. Fred will make it more difficult for them to get through us. So I would go with definitely McTominay, definitely Matic, either Pogba or Fred, and then two wide players who are wide players who want to track back. Now, when we played him at Anfield last year, he played Martial against Trent Alexander. I think Martial's injured though, isn't it? And he played Pogba wide right. I don't know if you remember that. And Pogba was marking Robertson. And we went there for the draw. We could have nicked it in the end. And that's what I mean by earning the right. We went there. We had Pogba playing on the right wing and we had Martial playing on the left wing. I've said this on one of these shows before, if you get the heat map out from that game at Anfield where we drew 0-0, Martial's average position on the field was about 4 yards ahead of Luke Shaw's. His average position on the field was 20 yards inside his own half, which means he hardly ever got into their half. We were just under it throughout the game. Martial was stopping Trent Alexander. Pogba was stopping Robertson, and we got the 0-0 draw. Now, when I talk about earning the right to attack, if you can remember that game clearly, we had two really good chances to win it in the last 10 minutes. One of them fell to Pogba, I think, about 8 yards out, and he smashed it at the goalie. We could so easily have won it. We've got to set ourselves out in that game to be difficult to beat and not even think about who might score a goal. Don't even think, Greenwood might smash one in or Rashford might run them ragged. We've got to make ourselves difficult to beat and then earn the right to try and nick it in the end or to attack them a bit more often.
The problem with that, though, is, and I'll Kev, you come in next then, Adam. My problem with that is that we've just bought Ronaldo. We've just spent £74 million on Sancho. We're 3 years in. We're 3 years in, and we're parking the bus at home to Liverpool to try and grind a draw, maybe nick a win. And even if we do, we've then got to play Man City in a couple of weeks. That, to me, is the answer. Like, if we're having to approach games like that, Brighton won't approach it like that. Brentford don't approach it like that. Why is Man United approaching it like that?
Brighton probably will play five at the back with them against them. They do that against the better sides. They will have three men in midfield.
We're not Brighton.
Yeah, but Mark just said that Brighton won't approach.
But even so, Brighton have got a system that when they do get the ball, they're not just going to hoof it up to Rashford from Lindelof's right foot, are they? They're going to try and play through the system. And I think I think you're right. I think you're spot on, Ricky. I'm not criticising.
We've got to get 3 men in the middle. We've got to get 4. We've got to get a back 4. We've got to get 3 men in midfield. And we need 2 wide players who are capable of attacking and attacking well, although they've got to do the defensive duties willingly.
They're not wingers, are they?
Is anyone...
Sancho needs to play on the right. And if he's fit, again, Martial on the left. Does that job naturally. He drops in with the fullback and makes it difficult for him if they're fit. Don't worry about who's going to score a goal to start with. Let's get involved in the game. You just mentioned Ronaldo, Mark. Obviously, you've got to play with a centre forward. You've got to hit somebody with the ball. So either Cavani or Ronaldo. But do you know what? I'd be tempted to start with Cavani because of his work rate, and then bring Ronaldo on for half an hour.
If you're going to park the bus, there's no point having Ronaldo. He's not a lone forward to bloody defend, is he?
You might only get one chance, though, Mark. It'd be great if it fell to Ronaldo that chance. You might only get one chance.
Moments.
Bayern today have absolutely. I know it's a German league, but Bayern in general are playing amazing football, attacking football, and they press from the front, and they have a way of playing attacking football. And if you look at their lineup, you think to yourself, why can't we play attacking football with the players we've got? It's not the case of we need to just park the bus. I get the fact that we need team shape and stuff, but you don't just need to get 3 defensive players in the midfield. You need to be able to. It's about the passing, the breaking the lines through the midfield. It's about the style of play, and we don't have one. It's about the coaching as well, like the way that we play going forward with the passing. It's not about sticking 3 defensive midfielders in there. Like it's a way that you play. And if you look at Bayern, and I know it's the German league, but it doesn't matter. They play such attacking football with such an attacking lineup, and for me, that's what I want to see in Manchester United. I don't want to see us score 1 goal every week and that's it.
But you have to look at the team, right, that we had. If we say great wingers in Manchester United, Kanchelskis, Giggs, Beckham, the likes of that worked in tandem with their left and right back respectively. And at the minute, and this is I'm not disregarding any of the likes of Greenwood or Rashford, these are what I would class as wannabe number 9s. They want to be the number 9 of Manchester United, but they're not actually good enough at this minute in time to hold the line. So they're being, as Ricky would say, shoehorned in. Let's throw Greenwood out on the right. Let's play, Sancho out on the left. Where did Sancho play his best football? For Borussia Dortmund, on the right. So why would Ollie play him on the left? You've got Greenwood that you can switch over to the other side if you want to do that. And we all know that he can cut in on either foot. You wouldn't know what his stronger foot was, but it does come down to that thing of chemistry, and they are not wingers. They're not going to track back and help out Luke Shaw and Wan-Bissaka. They're strikers. That's what they are at the end of the day, and they're not going to get to the byline, beat a man, and put a cross in. And that's exactly why yesterday, absolutely no service for Ronaldo. You have to play to his strengths. What it comes down to is you've got the likes of Rashford who come on, you've got Greenwood who started. They want to be a number 9. They want to play there. And in years to come, they could well do that. But at the minute, they're not wingers that are going to track back and help out. And that does not help out with cohesion and formation of the team.
Adam,
no, on that.
Go on, sorry. I was going to ask you a question, but you can come back on that as well. The question I was going to ask secondary to that was, there are still people who are Ollie in. In relation, I'm not sitting here saying sack Ollie. I'm not saying Ollie out. I mean, I know a lot of people are, but I'm certainly not sitting here saying everything's fine and positive. But to give that side of the coin, is there reason somehow, somewhere to be positive that this is just going to be another blip and we're going to click back into place? And how do you think that's going to work?
Not anymore. Not anymore, mate. No, that shout that everyone said, when the chips are down, he always manages to pull a result out. Them days are gone. I'm telling you right now. I know what I'm watching. I know what I'm witnessing there from the stands. I'm seeing the player reactions, everything like Ricky's team there. That whole team is built on hope. It's hope. That's all it is. If you want to finish 4th and 5th, it's hope.
More so than
that's
hoping that Greenwood might smash one in from 30
Yeah, but Ricky, on that, mate, you're hoping that a Manchester United midfield is going to be able to pass a bastard ball because Fred and McTominay can't pass for shit. So, all right, let's defend. Let's stick everyone behind the ball. What are you supposed to do when you've got it? Because that midfield ain't got no chance.
Basically, Lindelof hits it for 50 yards and hope that Rashford sprints in behind and scores.
Lindelof. That Lindelof's going to launch that ball, and Virgil van Dijk's just going to go bink on my chest. There you go, Fabinho. Let's go again. And it's going to be that all the way through. The discipline that team is going to have to even hold out to Liverpool, knowing the individual errors and the lack of form our defence is in right now. Because yesterday I seen it. The first half we competed. The midfield, yeah, you can argue. Second half we got tore apart. But I said this yesterday. Pogba and Matic actually competed. They got stuck in. No, it wasn't great. But we were there and we were in the game. And all of a sudden that back line let them down. Rashford puts us back in the game. What happens next? The back line has a meltdown. And we have to go again. There's only so many
McTominay cost us that fucking goal. Just come off
and
the bench.
This is it. This is it. Fred and McTominay can't pass for shit. Pogba next to him has no chance. So that doesn't work for me at all. The fact is, I couldn't tell you what the best team is right now. I haven't got an answer for you because there's so many players completely out of form. There's so many players out of form. What would I do? I'd put players on there who actually feel comfortable with the ball at their feet.
You've got to give Donny a chance, haven't you? You've got to give Donny a chance.
I'm putting Donny in next to Matic, and I'm saying, there you go. You know what? I did this the other day. I dropped Pogba without even realising. I dropped him because I wanted stability in my midfield. I wanted players who, under that press, are happy to take the ball at their feet and then play it. I see Matic do it yesterday. Carried the ball lovely. Superb. My man of the match yesterday, apart from De Gea.
Just a bit slow.
Pogba,
just a bit slow.
Yeah, that's it. But we can't help that now. That's what we've got right now. We all know Matic isn't long jeopardy. He's not going to see us through a long, sustained period. But for early stages of the Liverpool game, you don't want to be, like Ricky says there, you want to be in the game. For me, you're only going to be able to have a chance to nick this game if you've got players who are comfortable on the ball in it. It's all right defending, but I've seen the best attack in this league, and that's Liverpool. You can stand out to them as much as you want, but if Salah gets that moment, he will. He's one-on-one with the tank that is Maguire. It's see you later, son. And Lindelof just looking around in the clouds. Wan-Bissaka's completely out of position. United are 3-0 down at half-time because Liverpool will create chances. It's inevitable. The attack is miles better than our defence and our midfield. You've got to accept that. Somehow we've fallen. Somehow we have fallen. Nearly every attack in this league is better than everyone's defence right now. So you're going to have to accept that you're going to have to hold out and be absolutely on point for 90 minutes to hold that Liverpool player out. This defence, we've had 11 games this season. We had 1 clean sheet. We just shipped 4 against an average, well, not average, the best team we played so far this season in Leicester, who are 14th in the league. Liverpool are scoring goals at will. They know what they're setting up like already. They're licking their lips right now. You know, the only chance United have got is if we sort of half stand up to Liverpool. Because if we sit off them and get everyone behind the ball, we're not going to be able to get that ball out. We're not going to be able to get that ball out. We're going to be playing with 10 men with Ronaldo because any long ball, Van Dijk is just going to take it in. He's going to absolutely eat Ronaldo alive. We know that. It's not Ronaldo's game. So you've got to make a serious decision here and say, look, is this right for Ronaldo? It's Liverpool at home. Again, United at home to Liverpool. Ronaldo's going to play. So if you're going to go in defensively, Ronaldo's not going to work. You can't afford to go in too defensively. I understand we need discipline and we need to defend very well. But if we're not going to offer anything the other end, Liverpool will beat us. We know we will.
It's very interesting on Ronaldo, isn't it?
They didn't at Anfield last year, Adam. They drew 0-0.
Yeah, Liverpool were diabolical. Liverpool were in shocking form last year. There was no fans or anything. The expectation at Old Trafford, and you know it, Ricky, mate. You'll hear the moans and groans. Attack, 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 attack. It's fucking embarrassing. It's embarrassing when that comes out from the fans. It's like, and the players will feel it. The players will feel this pressure, and then the mistakes will come because they'll try and force it. It has to be on point. But this is just a Liverpool game.
Can I just bring this up? when we played them at Old Trafford, then I know I've said we got a 0-0 at Anfield and there was no crowds. Fair enough. We played them at Old Trafford with Greenwood and Rashford on the flanks, Cavani at number 9, Bruno at number 10. We got beat 4-2. It should have been 8-2.
We played a very similar team and beat them in the FA Cup, though, didn't we, at Old Trafford?
And Greenwood and Rashford both scored, and I think Bruno did as well, actually.
We beat them in the FA Cup playing the same way. Maybe Rashford and Greenwood aren't the answer. I'm not saying that
it's
they
a derby, you know, anything could happen in that game. We could get a result.
It's like we said, but we all talked the other day, didn't we, Mark, about what points we're going to take, and everyone was arrogantly thinking Leicester were the best chance. I went into that game yesterday thinking, I'm looking at the quality of the Leicester players. They can't stay shit forever. They'll turn up 1 point, and you know what? We gifted it to him yesterday. I see Ronaldo's reaction when Maguire dropped that clanger in the first half. It's like everything we do up here is pointless because we're having to pull up trees as forwards with individual.
What was Ronaldo's? I don't know whether you were there, Ricky, but you were there, Adam. What did you observe any sort of body? Because on the TV,
the body language.
You know, Ronaldo never got the fucking ball, so you couldn't tell what he was doing.
No, it was. Mate,
I would have been watching Ronaldo. What was his body language like?
It was horrendous. He cast a very frustrated figure right now. You could see as soon as Maguire dropped that, you could see the ball went upstairs. Ronaldo's arms were flapping around everywhere. It's like no matter what that forward line do, the individual mistakes and just ineptitude of our defence is just going to undo everything that they do. And then the morale drops. Then stupid things start happening. There's no composure in our team. There's no one who can put the foot on the ball. The only player who did it yesterday, like I said, was Matic. Calm, no rush. But eventually he was swamped. And you'd expect that because they've got a very, very quick attacking forward line, which was why I thought bringing Maguire in was absolute suicide yesterday anyway. I said that in my fan vlog. It was ridiculous. And Matic and Pogba can only work with that defence.
I'm sure Ricky will have something to say, and Kevin Beth as well. But I got to say, a lot of people said I was very surprised by your watch-along reactions because I was just I wasn't laughing. I was just like, this is not surprising me. But I think we were 2-1 down when he brought Matic and Greenwood off for McTominay and Lingard. And I was like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, you know, Matic, I mean, it can only be what I was told 6 months ago. Matic doesn't play as much anymore because he can't play 90 minutes. Because I was like, why would you take off a guy that's actually doing better than Pogba in midfield for McTominay, who we've seen cannot play that role and actually cost us the third goal that when we just equalised? And as for Lingard, I think we're just trying to get him to sign a new contract. I mean, just wouldn't have been the substitution I would have made when you've got a lad who's cut in from 30 yards and scored a goal out of nothing. But let's bring Jesse on to try and spin into space that's not there.
For me, exactly. if you're looking at that there and thinking McTominay's going to come on and make a positive impact, that just shows ineptitude in itself.
Legs, Beth.
We needed to get hold of that midfield. It was obvious from the start. I actually thought Matic played really well, but Pogba was getting lost in the midfield. We need to get hold of it. McTominay has been awful the last few weeks. He's not been able to get hold of a midfield once. In fact, he's probably cost us a lot because he gets.
He's another player who's been rushed back from injury, Beth. I mean, he wasn't meant to be back till the end of September. He plays 3 games in 7 days. Yeah,
for me, it's just with McTominay, you don't really get much defensive work because I do feel like he just runs around and gets skipped past a lot. And then going forward, his passes aren't good or he gets in people's way. I don't see the positive aspects of him when he's playing in the position that Ollie plays him in, which is to sit there. And then when he played him as the box-to-box, bear in mind you've got Donny van de Beek and Pogba, it is embarrassing because, yeah, to be honest, his best position is a box-to-box player, but them 2 players are miles ahead of him. But anyway, you're bringing McTominay in that game to get hold of a midfield. You've just brought your best midfielder off in Matic. Donny van de Beek sat there. He can get hold of a midfield because he can actually pass through a midfield and he can actually pass the ball very well and make combinations with people. He's still not had a sniff. I mean, look at pre-season. I know it's pre-season, it's not the Premier League, but Matic and Donny in that pre-season is the best pivot we've seen in a while. And if he's going to carry on playing the pivot, I don't see why he's not even played that combination once in the league yet so far. They can both pass the ball. They're both intelligent footballers. And Matic is good positionally, and also Donny as well can be good positionally, and he's more defensive than what Pogba is, in my opinion. So I don't get why that hasn't been tried out once. And do you know what? It's actually extremely worrying that if Matic can only play 60 minutes and can only play once a week, what are we going to do? Because he's the only one that can actually play there, in my opinion. So it's so worrying about what we're going to do in the midfield. Are we going to revert back to McTominay and Fred? For me, that's not the answer, because I think it doesn't. People saying, well, we know it's not McTominay and Fred. No, they were crap as well. They're actually probably, for me, worse because they actually don't offer anything going forward either, as well as going back. So it's just, I'm at a loss. And for me, I would have to go with Matic and Donny, but they can't play Matic can't play the Champions League and the Premier League game. So we're going to see him at Fred, and that's just what's going to happen. And it's going to be defensive football, and I can feel it. It is going to be against Liverpool because Ollie's going to try and save his job. But that's not the way we should be going about it. Donny should get a chance in that midfield with Matic. And for me, I'd even I wouldn't want to drop Pogba, but with Ollie's coaching, he doesn't fit into the team unless he's on the left, and Rashford's back. So that's not going to happen. But he can't keep going on with that midfield because it doesn't work.
Interesting stat here. Kev, we've not heard from you in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting stat here. A lot of people talk about Donny van de Beek. I'm baffled. I'm frustrated. I'm concerned. I thought the West Ham game where Donny played with Matic, where we went out of the cup, we lost 1-0. I can't remember the West Ham goal, but it was a tight game. And ultimately, Jesse Lingard was trying to score worldies. He, multiple times he could have played other people in, and he played a very selfish game, probably trying to get a start on the following Saturday. I thought Matic and Donny ran that midfield. Since that game, I don't think Donny van de Beek's had a minute, let alone a start. No. And we played Villa on the weekend after that. We lost. We played Villarreal midweek. We fluked it. We played Everton. We lost. We drew. And we played Leicester and we lost. So in the 4 games since Donny van de Beek played really well in the midfield too, he's had no minutes, and our midfield has been annihilated in 4 games in a row. He ain't getting any minutes, is he?
Can anybody explain that to me? Because we are all nonetheless as to what Donny van de Beek's done. And I have joked on this show before. I compare it a bit to Wilfried Zaha at Manchester United under Moyes, where it was like, a lot of us were like, why is he not getting a game? And then I joked and said, I had to Google whether Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had a daughter, just to see if he'd tampered with her or whatever. And that's why he wasn't getting in the team or whatever. But, it does come down to that point where you're like, what has he done? Or what has he said? And then it comes down to, well, why did you buy him? Or who bought him? Was it Ed Woodward that bought him because it was 40 million or whatever at the time? And he thought, this is not a bad price. We can bring him in. We'll probably get that back for him if we sell him.
I know what, Kev, just to say that there. If Ed Woodward did buy Van de Beek, it's the first time I'll clap the guy. he actually got it right. He actually did his scouting right. It's Ollie who's the prat.
Yeah. But crazy. Obviously does not like him, doesn't fancy him. So that's why I think, why doesn't he get involved? Why is he not in the team? We've cried out for this for ages, but it comes down to, for me, midfield and looking at it. What? Fred? Seriously, Fred. How Van de Beek, right? You mentioned Van de Beek then, and we look at him. I bet he's never got below a 7 as an average rating. And he's probably only played, you can name him on one hand how many games Fred's played for United. But then you look at Fred, how many games has he probably scored a 2, a 1 or a 2? And I mean, abysmal performances for United. But yet, favouritism, jobs for the boys, McTominay, Fred, let's get him in there and all that. It's not working. So why do it? Why stick with something that is not working? Mix it up. And I will say one thing as well, a bit off subject on that, but we're talking about Ronaldo, and at the risk of repeating myself again, I honestly, I've said it before, and Ronaldo will be the final nail in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's took on a player now that he cannot manage. This player is bigger than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and he will not be able to control this. You've seen the rage after being left out against Everton. He was brought on at 1-0 up, but walks off the pitch and he's raging. And yesterday, his body language suggests something more. And we've seen this with previous managers, the likes of Moyes, Van Gaal, and Mourinho. The minute them cracks start showing and you get them stories out about the training's not good, and they get leaked, and especially now with a player like Ronaldo, it's only going to go one way. And I think he's bitten off more than what he can chew here, Solskjaer, big time, because he does not know how to use him, and tactically inept, will not know how to deal with this at all.
I think it's spot on. I mean, it's a great point to just go back to because we've got a bit of time. I don't know what everyone else thinks, but I think with Ronaldo, you're absolutely spot on. You can't drop Ronaldo like you could maybe drop Pogba. Pogba will still generate a lot of media, but you cannot drop Ronaldo like that. No. And I don't know whether anyone else feels this, but I feel there was amazing, exciting hype around Ronaldo, which Adam mentioned earlier. And now I don't feel it. I almost forget he's playing for us because he's not getting the ball. We're not playing to him. I feel like Ronaldo's not a United player at the moment. It's so bad. But it's interesting again because somebody said to me today, was a Chelsea fan, I'm really disappointed with what's happening with Ronaldo at United. And I thought, why is a Chelsea fan saying that? And then I was like, because Ronaldo is Ronaldo. He's like Messi. Then there are Premier League fans that love the fact that Ronaldo's here, even though they're rival fans. He is huge. And Kev's right. He doesn't fit our team. He doesn't fit our team, but you can't drop him. So Kev's right. I'll throw it open. I think Kev is right.
We said it at the start of the season, mate. When the transfer window was open, it was like, are United actually going to go out this summer and buy what we actually need rather than buying the flavour of the month that's available? Because touched on Donny there. It's like Donny was available. Real Madrid were just starting their issues financially. So it's like, oh, he's available. Right, let's just go and get him. It looks like we're doing some business. Let's get Donny van de Beek. Same with Ronaldo. We didn't leave it. We didn't need him. We did not need Ronaldo at the start of the season. I think we only got forced into it because he could have possibly gone to City and the megastore would have had to give up the CR7 merchandise that they still sell, which is quite embarrassing for a player that's not been there for a decade. Well, he wasn't there. So it says everything you need to know about the football club and why Ronaldo was bought in. But like you said, Mark, that has just caused a massive issue for Ole. And it's like before when I said Ronaldo problem. It's not that Ronaldo is the problem. It's the fact that Ronaldo's the big problem, like Kev said, for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because he has not got the team. I don't see how Rashford benefits Ronaldo. I don't see how Greenwood is going to benefit Ronaldo. And then I'm thinking, oh, God, they're the two players that Ole is pretty much going to always play. So
I
why
think the
is
only
Ronaldo
player that
playing?
benefits Ronaldo is the player you mentioned, and he never plays him. Tellez. He's the only player that I think plays to Ronaldo's strength, like a delectable left foot cross.
And they probably want to be Ronaldo.
Yeah. The only player that crosses the ball is Bruno Fernandes, isn't it? And he's our number 10. He's the only player I've seen cross the ball over the last 3 weeks. I'm thinking that's the only area that's I'm thinking, what, West Ham, the young boys game. I'm thinking, why is Bruno out there crossing this ball? What's the point in the other players? It just seems like Ronaldo has just caused. He's made a massive problem for Ole, and like Kev said and you said, Mark, the name of Ronaldo is bigger than Ole and everyone else in this team. He's going to play every single week. He's going to play every single game that is important. So you either adapt to it, or that's the sword that you ultimately die on, because that is it. Ronaldo will finish Ole, like Kev said, because he's going to feel forced to play him. I mean, he brought him on with 35 minutes to go when we was winning the game. I was talking to Ricky about it this time. It's like, he never makes early substitutions, but he does for Ronaldo because he feels pressured to put him on when we didn't need to bring him on at that point. It's, for me, a massive, massive problem for him. And I honestly can't see him being able to handle it. It is, like I said, we're playing with 10 men. We're playing with 10 men. It's not Ronaldo's fault, but that is how we're playing because he's not going to press. Bruno presses every single time because he's not disciplined. It's like, Bruno, go and use that energy elsewhere where you're a lot more effective. Bruno turns around every time he goes for a press with his hands in the air like, who's coming with me? And there's no one ever going with him. So where's the direction from the sidelines on that?
That's the thing.
It should be trained. This should be done in training. It shouldn't be up to Bruno on the pitch to be like, "Come on, guys, I feel like pressing now. Let's press." Like they're just all on such different wavelengths, and
we should
know
not be
what
looking at that
as a team when you're going out onto that pitch. You should have a game plan of how you are going to. You should have your own game plan that you go in with every week, as we see with clubs' identities. But you should have certain things you're going to do for that game. You don't see that. You see Bruno getting extremely frustrated with people not pressing. You see him getting angry, so he's running around. And then for me, I think when he gets angry, he gets worse as a player. That's just my personal opinion, because I think he makes rash decisions. And then you just see people taking shots from 50 yards out, running into people, trying to get shots off when you shouldn't be getting shots off, passing it when you're not passing it, when you shouldn't be passing it. And it's a mess. It's a mess at the minute. It really is.
And that's
Ricky... Sorry, Adam, I think you'll want to come back on this anyway. But, you know, one of your legacy things was Dan James. He's gone. I don't want to make you cry.
He's crying.
He is crying. But, I want you to talk about Bruno, because I know that'll open up something. I want you to talk about Greenwood. But I will give you the moment, because me and Adam have been talking about this. We were talking about it on Thursday night, and we've spoken about it on the show. You did say... And I don't want to not miss Sancho in this show, because, it feels like an onslaught, but it feels like it should be an onslaught. I don't feel guilty onslaughting against Oli tonight because it's a shit show. We've spoken about Ronaldo there, icing on the cake, everything. Let's not forget that Jadon Sancho was the priority signing. He was the priority signing last summer, and he was the priority signing this summer, ahead of even Varane. £74 million. That could have bought, I reckon Leicester would have had a sniff. I think Declan Rice from West Ham would have had a sniff at 74 million. We decided not to go for a CDM. We decided to go for Sancho. We don't play, we've spoken about Ronaldo, we do not play to Sancho's strength. We're not a possession team at all. He's not fast, and he's not somebody who's going to cut inside and score it from 30 yards. He's a possession player. You said in the summer that you didn't think Sancho would be in the team by probably about this time. But I don't think you knew what Sancho was about then. And, from the messages you've had, you've said you quite like Sancho. So it's worked out probably in a different way than you thought. But again, I mean, what's your thoughts on that? Because he feels like he's just a player that Oli doesn't even know what he does.
Yeah, I said before the season started, and 2 or 3 on here laughed at me, that Sancho won't be an automatic player in the team in 2 or 3 months' time. And that wasn't a slight against Sancho. What I'd seen of Sancho at the time, I liked him. But we don't play football like Sancho plays football. You've just mentioned that with the amount of times he passes it to his fullback, his teammate. Sancho plays the game more like Juan Mata plays the game than Mason Greenwood plays the game. He plays the game more like Van de Beek plays the game than Marcus Rashford. Do you understand what I mean? These players get hold of the ball, they want to pass it and they want to move. They don't want to run with it and try and beat players and try and score. Sancho's more of a Juan Mata or more of a Van de Beek. He's a better player than the other players that everybody likes. He plays the game in the right way. And because of that, the difficulty is when you're watching a game, if you've got one player in your team who's playing like that, or maybe 2, then it isn't obvious which ones are the better players, because when they pass the ball, probably the next player loses it, or the next player after that loses it. That's why we're in such a mess. We need more players like Van de Beek, more players like Juan Mata, more players like Sancho, more players like Martial. These players play the game like City players play. Get it and give it and get it and give it, and not try to beat players and not try to shoot every time they get it. So I predicted Sancho would lose his place, which he has lost his place, and everybody ridiculed me when I said it. Well, he hasn't lost his place. He hasn't yet nailed down a starting lineup. He isn't, is he? You know what I mean? I had a look at this earlier. He hasn't completed 90 minutes yet in a game in either the Champions League or the league. He's only completed 90 minutes in that League Cup tie against West Ham. I think he's had 6 starts in all competitions, but always gets subbed. But we're not even playing him in his best position. Now, obviously, hundreds of people, and maybe thousands of people on Twitter on these shows were saying, we've got to get Sancho, we've got to get Sancho. And the very same people are telling me that Mason Greenwood's a generational talent. And Mason Greenwood was playing on the right wing at that time. You couldn't make it up how stupid it is. Or from the people that are saying it, and £74 million on a player who's a right winger And people who are saying it, probably including our management, never mind fans, are saying what a great player Greenwood is and don't want to drop him. And we spent 74 million quid on a right winger.
Which
a lot of people at the time, though, wanted to see Greenwood.
Which begs the question.
That's it. It comes back to Ronaldo.
Yeah.
It does. It comes back to Ronaldo, doesn't it?
I don't want to upset everybody. I mean, you can check my Twitter at Mark Goldbridge. I've had my say, but he's obviously not watching the show, Bruno, because he's just tweeted out. We can only raise from this series of negative results by standing together and united. That's what we'll do.
Horse shit.
I love him as a player.
That's not Bruno. That's his PR company. And
all a load of bollocks.
That is a load of shite. And I am fed up of that every single week of all this shit and watching United when I'm going, I've had enough of this. And then you get the same responses every time. That is not even... that's not Bruno. The same with Rashford or any other United player when it comes out and it's
I don't mind it, Kev,
move
it's
on.
One bad result.
Not the result we wanted, but we move on. Yeah,
it's been happening for bloody. You've taken 1 point from bloody 9. You got Liverpool next week. Yeah. What are you going to write next week?
No, it's
what a bit of honesty, if anything, not that shit.
Well, I respect Pogba because Pogba after the game basically said we're shit. We've got no plan. We deserved it. He'll be benched on Wednesday.
I respect him for doing that. I respect him for doing that because it was the complete right response and it's what you'd expect your manager to do.
Yeah, says the player who's probably leaving in about 3 months.
It's the only honesty you get. It's the only honesty you get because Ollie's never honest in his post-match interviews. He's never honest in his press conferences. But I tell you what, he never tactically breaks anything down. It's the same thing every week. It's so annoying to watch.
Didn't Pogba hold back though and say he doesn't know what the problem is?
Yeah, and that's also very worrying.
And I know. Listen, I know he can't come out and say the problem is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Michael Carrick, that McKenna lad or whoever he is. He's not going to come out and say that because he's at United. This just strengthens Pogba's position at Manchester United and Raiola for leaving on a free. And that's exactly what he'll do, won't he? He's going to go, well, I've got ambition or whatever. I want to win trophies and that. It's not going well here. Just strengthens his position big time.
Yeah. Can I just go back on that, what Ricky was saying about Sancho, actually?
Go on.
The signing of Sancho.
I need a break, but I'll be back.
Yeah, I just feel like it moves back into the Ronaldo transfer because I think Sancho was a right signing because I thought he was going to come in on the right-hand side, but Greenwood was probably being earmarked for a centre-forward spot. Edison Cavani, 1 more year. I thought it would have been perfect, but Ronaldo coming in and taking that 9 spot, I just threw a complete spanner in the works. And now I feel the problem is going to be, and I don't think Ollie's going to see it out in time to see the best of Sancho. It's going to take another manager to come in. He's a system player like Donny van der Beek is. You can tell Mason Greenwood and Marcus Rashford, all they've known is Manchester United. Attack, attack, attack. Like I said, in the stands. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, well, let's say Mourinho completely played everyone out of positions. He's playing Martial at right back at some stages. He completely lost the plot. Van Gaal, he just got the back end of it, Rashford. That's where he made his debut. So really, all Rashford and Greenwood know is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer tactics. Be interesting to see how a real coach and a management setup of someone who knows what they're doing gets a hold of the likes of Rashford and Greenwood. These are not bad players. It's not all about swapping players in and putting players in position that's going to make things better. No, you've got to make players better. Every single player that I've seen at the moment is on a regression with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and his staff. I'm not seeing anyone improve. I'm seeing Harry Maguire absolutely tear it up for England. Luke Shaw, exactly the same. Come back to United, and like I said on Saturday, put that red shirt on, different ball game. Different ball game, different instructions. And Rashford, has he improved? I think he's stagnated. I think he's been the same level. Greenwood came on the scene, like Mark said, same. It'd be very, very interesting to see if another coach got a hold of Greenwood and Rashford and what he molds them into. Because I feel like right now, and I said Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has finished Scott McTominay and Fred by playing them 100%. And making them think that there's something that they're not. I just think he's going to kill careers before they've even started. I mean, look at Donny van der Beek, who can't get in the Dutch squad because of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. That's a fact. That is a fact. You know what I mean? And then you look at our younger players. All they know is the United way. Well, no, all they know is the Ollie way. And there lies the problem. We don't know the potential. We kind of think we know the potential of these players. They are looking exceptional at times, but it's not consistent. That comes down to being able to be coached and taught. I just feel like there's so much more in this squad. We're not going to get it under this manager and this coaching setup now. I'm seeing it. And that is just where the problem is going to be constantly until a change is made, I think. I just don't see him being able to get the best out of Sancho. Ronaldo is in the way of a lot of the younger players right now because he has to play. It's not Ronaldo's fault. Again, I'll make that point. It's Ronaldo. But I do feel like we are going to see a lot of players getting worse before they get any better under this coaching and management setup. And I'm seeing it week in and week out. The confidence level is dropping. And you know what? United brought players in. I always said, I joked about it a while ago. United can destroy players' careers. You really can. You can either hack it at United or you can't. But right now, I'd look at United as a player and I'd go, it's pretty scary. It really is, because there's no cohesion. There's not one world-class player. And we have got a few of them in our team that are playing to their potential. Can't all be out of form for this long. Something fundamentally is wrong. It's in the coaching setup and what happens on the training. The fact that we're trying to bring players in for this Liverpool game instead of changing a system or a style of play, the fact that we're just saying, oh, this player has to come in and that player comes in, tells you the problem that we've got right now. Changing players is not going to fix what we've got right here, because they're all going to come in under the same direction from the bench and the training ground, which is shit. And that's going to keep going no matter who you bring into this team now, because the confidence level I've seen, you can tell from players' reactions, it's at the lowest it's ever been. And all the bollocks that they come out with on social media is just like you said, Kev, it's a spin.
That's horseshit.
I don't believe a word of it.
And you ask yourself the question, you sit there and look and say, how many of these players at Manchester United at the minute, as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and this so-called coaching team, made a better player at Manchester United? Now, I would probably argue maybe Luke Shaw, the fact that Teller's come in, maybe give him a bit of a
But Luke Shaw had no career before that, to be fair.
Yeah. Still a good player.
It was a massive transformation, really. It was just getting him to be the player that he always was.
Right? I think Luke Shaw would be an even better left back under a Thomas Tuchel or a Pep Guardiola or a Jurgen Klopp, because I actually don't think. And I don't think Bruno's as good as he could be. I don't think.
I was saying that when Bruno first came.
I don't think Varane's going to hit his limit. I don't think any of them are going to get anything better than they've already got.
And Mark, my point on that was going to be exactly that. Bruno Fernandes playing for Manchester City or Liverpool, Ronaldo playing for Manchester City or Liverpool, Pogba playing for Man City or Liverpool, I think are totally different players. You play them in a system or whatever, and that is the thing at Manchester United that we do not have. We're not playing to the strengths of the so-called main players that we've got, and they're just absolutely nothing. It's almost like they're just being sent out there and go, right, like Sunday League football or something, and go, right, crack on or whatever. Give the ball to that Ronaldo lad up front. He'll score all the goals. It's
not just about the coaching. I've spoken many times on here about the players actually being overrated by the management, by the staff, and by the fans, and by people on here. You think the players are better than they are. I had this discussion with someone. I had a little bit of a game with somebody this morning, and he saw me point when I mentioned it to him, because now that it's not going well, everybody's saying it's down to the coaching. It's still the coach's problem. It's still the manager's fault and the coach's fault, but it's because they're picking the wrong players. It's not as much about the coaching as it is about picking the right players. And what I did for a little bit of a game with this lad, see if any one of you, even half, agree with me. I picked 6 players for the front 6, midfield and forward positions, one from each of the big 6 clubs. Hear me out on this. One from each, but without picking any of the real major stars. I haven't picked Salah, I haven't picked Harry Kane. So I picked a midfield 4 across the park of Saka from Arsenal, who knows the job properly. I picked Mahrez on the left, who knows the job properly, and I picked Højbjerg of Spurs and Matic of United as your two central holding midfield players who won't bomb ahead of the ball and understand the game. And as my front two, I picked Firmino from Liverpool and I picked Werner from Chelsea, who works his socks off and runs all over the field and gets forward once we win the ball back, or once they win the ball back, he gets forward. There's six
never score though, will he?
There's 6 players. Those 6 players don't play with each other in a club team. They don't play with each other in an international team. I would bet, I can't prove this, I would bet my bottom dollar if you put those 6 players on a field together and said, right, you're playing on the right wing, you're playing on the left wing, you two are playing, but they know where they're going to play anyway. Højbjerg and Matic, you're going to hold the midfield. Werner and Firmino got hat-trick yesterday, by the way, Matt. Firmino and Werner, you're playing up front. Werner, I want you to work your socks off. That's all you've got to say. Don't have to coach them. They would go out and play better than our players without being coached. Does anybody even grasp what I'm talking about here?
Yeah, I do. You just said there. You tell them. You tell them what to do. Who tells them what to do, though, Ricky?
Yeah, but I've just said that. You wouldn't need
management. Who tells them?
You've got to at least tell them what position they're playing in. That's all you've got to do.
And what they're going to do. You just said then. You got to said then. You got to work your socks off. You got to stay on that way. You got to do that. The coach.
They must be coaching to that extent. Surely to God. Surely to God.
The thing is, it's like that. If we said that, if you had them players in a team, then it's welcome to 4th and 5th in the league. Because it is solid. But at the end of the day, you still do need that man above. You need that man above.
I think if you had Højbjerg and Matic, behind Bruno, Ronaldo, Sancho, and Greenwood, that team's better than the one you've just met. I think Højbjerg's the only player I'd go, yeah, that's the player. That's the one. I mean, I can't say that I think Werner and Firmino are better than Bruno and Ronaldo.
They're all good players, but you see, comparing it to Ronaldo, comparing it to United at the moment is, for me, it's not the same thing, because we are just generally playing so badly at the moment. You could pick anyone in the league and they're playing better than us, and that's just facts. It's not about what players it is. Like everyone's playing better than us at the minute.
Yeah, it's like that as well on that team there. It's like, look at Højbjerg. He's playing under a very defensive-minded coach in Nuno, who would suit it very well, yeah. And then you've got Tuchel for Werner, and you've got Klopp for Firmino, who did drop him and brought him back in just to give him that little bit of a kick up the arse because his form did drop, and Jota came in for Liverpool. I'm looking at the managers for all of these players that you just selected there, and I'm going, yeah, there's a bit of a common denominator there. That's like quality coaching. And their instruction will come across clear as day. And Beth touched on it before with Ollie not being able to break down where it went wrong tactically in a game, whereas Tuchel can tell you exactly, Klopp can tell you exactly where it's done and broken down. They know exactly what they want their players to do. I think the point that we're trying to make is that Ollie doesn't know what he wants his players to do, except maybe go and win a game for him. And you said it before, Ricky. You went and watched your nephew's game at weekend. Grandson Freddie's game. I spoke to my son Alfie's manager, and he's 14. The manager's not, Alfie is. I spoke to his manager. I spoke to his manager, and he said, talk to me about the football in United. He's a big United fan. He says, I just don't know what we're doing. The coaching setup that he's got right now looks like he's playing like I am. I'll play it to the best player up on the park and hope that he does something with it. And that's the age level of coaching that it seems to be what we're doing. I mean, Ricky, can I just ask you on even the warm-up baffles me, mate. It looks like schoolboy warm-up for United. You know what I mean? Watch other teams' warm-ups at Old Trafford and away from home. It looks like it's a bit, and I can see you laughing there, and you know you're going to come in on this, but I've seen better warm-ups on Sunday League pitches. It just seems like lay it off, have a shot, lay it off, have a shot. And it may be picking and nitpicking a bit, but it's embarrassing to me. I watched what Villarreal were doing at Old Trafford on that game in their warm-up. It just seems like everything is together. No one is isolated. Whereas United, it's like You're the outcasts over there, subs. Go and play right in the corner out of the way. You're not playing today. Whereas the first team are just doing a little bit of pass and move and stuff like that. It's the same old thing. And you'll come in on this, Ricky. When Van Gaal was in charge, you would have noticed the little setup he had before the game. He had a little routine with everyone involved, a full team involvement in everything.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing for me. And I do feel like there is a lack of professionalism in our whole setup. And I hate to say it, but it sort of rolls out onto the pitch when we play as well, mate.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on that's just embarrassing, I think. I've just spoken there about I believe the players are overrated, and I just think that you could get other players, they wouldn't need coaching, and the same, if they did get coached, they'd be even better. But our players, if they're that good, they shouldn't need that much coaching. You shouldn't.
All them other players that you mentioned have been coached very well. So that's what you're seeing when you think of them players. You're seeing them after they've been coached very well. If you put our players under them managers, you'd think differently of our players. That you'd think they're better.
You know what, though?
I do believe,
just to add a bit of context here. This some of you might have missed this. Straight after the game yesterday, Adam talks about his team and Ricky talks about his grandson. This was the sort of thing I'd expect a manager of an under-6 team to say. But this was after Man United have just lost 4-2. We were not good enough with and without the ball. You've got to run, block, and tackle. And we didn't do that enough. Right? Brendan Rodgers after the game says, we knew that United don't have a high tempo, so we wanted to play a high line and press them high up so that when we won the ball back, we were virtually on their goal. And that's Ollie says, you've got to run, block, and tackle. And we didn't do enough of that. I've heard him in press conferences get asked a question about tactics, and he goes, well, we could talk about tactics all day, but let's talk about something else. No, let's talk about tactics. We want to talk about tactics.
This is going down the David Moyes route, isn't it?
Yeah,
it really is, because it gets to the stage where it's embarrassing. And you remember, like when Man City beat us and heavily beat us at Old Trafford, and David Moyes was like, we aspire to be like Man City. And that was the final nail in his coffin, because you were like, you do not get this. You do. We're Manchester United. What? We aspire to be like Man City. What are you? Even if you think that, you do not say that and come out with it in a press conference. And some of the stuff, even like Beth said earlier, she can't listen to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because the things that he says, and we've said it loads of times about excuses and all this shit that he's coming out with. And it's going down that route of he's just trying to justify the fact he's there. It's
20 years ago, Kev,
a bit embarrassing.
He would have been fine. The problem is most football fans now are like Ricky. They're taking notes. They're watching the game twice. They know what a register is. They know what, they know what a press is. They know what a high line is. They know what passing through the lines mean. They know what possession is. They know what tempo is. You cannot come out and go, you got to block more, tackle more, run around more. It's like, and he doesn't do he doesn't do the coaching. Everyone knows he doesn't coach. He's there to just do. I think they've all got a job, and his job is to go and do the interviews.
It's like what happened to Dilly Ding Dilly Dong yesterday for Watford against Liverpool, wasn't it? It's like, welcome to the new age of football coaching. You're not going to last 3 months in that job, Ranieri. It's just absolutely brutal. You've got to have an idea. You've got to, and like I said, we always said, how Ollie actually sets his team up. He's actually looking at the teams that he's playing and look at that first. And he still doesn't get that right. He still doesn't get that right. He looks at it and goes, "Oh, how can we counteract? How can we counteract this Watford team? How can we stop them playing football?" Well, let's just have a look at the Champions League medals and World Cup medals and everything else you've got at your disposal. Well, then maybe think about winning a game every now and then. That might help your cause, mate. You know what I mean? Let's play some players that should be playing in them positions instead of shoehorning a World Cup winning centre midfielder out on the left. I do feel like now Rashford's back, though. I think we touched on it before, haven't we? That he's now got a big problem with Pogba as well as Ronaldo, because he's going to start having to play Pogba in the middle and find someone to play with him. You know what he's going to do this. You know it. You don't want to say it, but I know you're all thinking it. He's going to start playing Rashford on the left every week because he's fit and raring to go.
Fast.
That means Pogba and this big ego and wanting him to sign this deal, he's going to start playing in the middle. So who's going to play with Pogba every week now?
This sounds pretty much like what Gary Neville's just spoken about. If that's what's going to happen, Adam, obviously if Pogba's going to be in the middle, I can't see him dropping Bruno. He's obviously going to play Ronaldo. If he's going to have Rashford on the left, wide right, I mean, Sancho's minutes are going to get dwindled now, but it'll probably be Greenwood. You know, so we're back to exactly what Gary Neville's saying that I've been saying for 18 months. Too many attacking players. I mean, he's including Pogba in that when Pogba's playing in centre midfield. I think you said this on your own thing yesterday, Adam, that even Pogba's a little bit too far forward and Matic is on his own sometimes. It's embarrassing.
And that's why
Pogba out onto the right or something stupid. He's done that before as well.
He's doing it because there's obviously a problem with Pogba, isn't there? And yesterday, like I said in the first half, I thought battled all right alongside Matic, but then when there's no game plan and everything's starting to get a little bit desperate, he sort of loses discipline completely. And it's no surprise Matic gets knackered at the end of the game because he's doing the majority of the work. And you don't see Matic lashing out, but you could see frustration in him yesterday. He's a very calm player. You could see him getting worked up. You could see him getting aggravated. And when you've got a player like that who's starting to move away from the way he normally plays and naturally plays, like why you bought that player in the first place for that quality, then you know something's wrong. When you try and change a player to a point where he's totally doing the opposite of why you bought him, then you've got a problem. And Matic is doing too much. Like when McTominay plays there, he's doing too much. He can't handle it. Pogba against Villarreal, Ollie came out and said, we tried to play more attacking central midfield. So Ollie's idea of attacking midfielder is Pogba go and play as a 10 alongside Bruno and leave McTominay to run the whole midfield. That's what it looked like to me, and that I couldn't say where Pogba played in that game.
It completely didn't work though, because Pogba was just trying to go through the middle with Bruno, but we can't play through the middle. We've never been able to do it. It was so stupid, and then Pogba was getting frustrated, and then he got brought off, and then he was annoyed. I just don't think Ollie can manage the squad whatsoever. Everyone's always said he's a great man manager, but I did think that, but look at people, look at it. Everyone seems like annoyed at the way we're playing. I feel like Ronaldo's annoyed, Cavani will be annoyed, Sancho won't be happy with the minutes he's getting, Martial, he's completely been blanked out. Donny van de Beek can't even get a sniff. Tellers, who I think actually is a decent left back. I'm not saying he should start every week, but he should get more chance than what he's got. I mean, people are going to start getting more and more frustrated, and then people start not to play for you, and that's the next worry that Ollie's got. Because as soon as them players give up, it's going to be absolutely game over. They're still playing for him now, and we're still getting fresh 40.
I don't think they're really. I said yesterday, I've seen some tools being downed yesterday. I've seen some hiding.
We've seen it before.
When that starts to happen, the writing is more than on the wall. It's been thrown on with a paint bucket.
It's happened before, yeah.
But the hilarious thing is, he's trying to. I mean, look, what did he say in the press conference on Friday? And I'm sorry, Jesse's an important part of our future. We really want him to sign a new contract, and he's giving him half an hour in games that we need to win. I mean, I like Jesse. He should have gone to West Ham. That's his problem. And Ollie's a prat if he thinks Jesse's part of our future. And it's that sort of fuzzy thinking that ultimately he did get Cardiff relegated. Let's not pretend he didn't. And I've always advised people, don't go and read the fan reports about Ollie's time at Cardiff because it will make you cry. But actually it resonates with a lot of what's going on now. Messing about with the team, changing it around, no style of play, and just a shambles. And he's falling on his own sword. But look, what I did want to bring in, and you can go first on this, Kev, is that amongst all this conversation, and I'd argue with anybody, there is absolutely no reason to feel guilty for, going to town on what is a mess of a start to the season at the moment. But we are not the owners of this football club. The Glazers are. Ed Woodward's still got his claws in. Incompetence reigns through that club. You can say it does in the managing and the coaching, but I'd say it's 10 times worse above. These are the people that would have to decide to make a change, or at the very least, pull him into the office tomorrow morning and say, what the hell are you doing? We know we don't have people at the football club to do that. Gary Neville has said there's no way they're going to make a manager change because they've learned their lesson of the last decade where they've got rid of managers and made a change. I mean, that's all well and good, Kev, when you are, you can't sack the fourth manager because the other three you think you might have got rid of them too soon. I mean, this might be a manager we never should have appointed. But the question, I suppose, is where do we go from here? Because it's not up to us to sack the manager or not sack the manager. And we're irrelevant, as we know. The Glazers do what the Glazers do. Some people think they bought Ronaldo behind Ollie's back because they knew it'd sell shirts. I don't think that's the truth. But we lose to Liverpool next week. I've said it. He should go. Do you think he will go? What do you think the plan is with the club now? Because there is this belief that even if he loses to Liverpool, Man City, and doesn't beat Spurs, he'll still be in a job. He's here for the long term.
I think I fully expect him to be still in charge of Manchester United till the end of the season. I think that's the way that Manchester United are run now. Under this ownership, the Glazers, the Woodward, the way he carries on, he'll be in charge. And I will say one thing as well. I've seen a few things on sort of social media and Twitter today. You know, Mo Salah finish United off. This is United fans coming out with this. Anyone or supposed United fans that want to see United beat by Liverpool so that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sacked. Not having that one. Well. Yeah, have a pair of them, mate. Not digging that one bit at all. You know, even if I threw the question out and said, "Oh, if we get beat by Liverpool, you know, next weekend and Solskjaer gets sacked, would you take that?" How do you even answer that? How do you even watch your own team playing football, thinking, right, well, if we get beat, at least he gets sacked? I'm not down with that shit at all. I'm not having it. And
well, it just gives great satisfaction to our rivals. They're not doing us a favour. They're absolutely going to. Yeah, you're right. Go on.
Yeah, but it's not even rivals. I'm talking about Manchester United fans that are actually coming out with this now, like tweeting stuff out like Mo Salah, go and finish United off. Manchester, supposed United fans, as an agenda just to get Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out of the club. And I'm not down with that. But I have said earlier that, yeah, I'm at that point now where I'm questioning and I'm like, don't get it. I'm fed up. I'm not enjoying watching United anymore. And I get that. But are Manchester United going to make that decision? No. If I get on Twitter and tweet out Ollie out, is that going to make a difference? No, is it? As if the Glazers are going to wake up in the morning and go, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out, it's trending, you know, we better sack this guy. It will not, it's not going to happen. We know this, and we're going down the same route as Arsenal, as long as we get top four. And that's all it is. I don't think the Glazers want Manchester United to be competitive in that state, the way we are at the minute, but we should be. And that is the thing that's killing me at the minute. And I go back to what I said to Adam earlier about Manchester United being like a donut, all around quality players. In the middle,
Krispy Kreme.
Exactly, man. And in the middle, we are missing. You could fire, I don't know, Kermit the Frog and Peppa Pig in the middle, and they would be better. And they
it's dropping the pepper bomb now. Oh,
yeah. And that makes no sense at all. So there you go. You might as well play no one.
Can I come in here, Mark?
Yeah, go, Ricky, go.
You got to come in on Peppa Pig, Ricky. Of course you are.
I love Peppa Pig, me.
I've just got a different angle to trying to explain my team, how I would pick my team to play against Liverpool. And everybody thinks it's defensive and you just think you're going to sit back. The idea of it is that you can win the ball and win the ball more often and press forward more often, and all your team presses up. You move up and down as a team. And if you look as a comparison as how Tuchel plays for Chelsea and what he's done at Chelsea, bearing in mind that they've won the Champions, he's only been there 6 months, 8 months, whatever it is. They've won the Champions League and they're sitting top of the league at the minute. He plays with a back three centre backs. He plays with two full backs who are his wing backs, Reece James and Aspilicueta, whether it's one or the other at right back, Alonso or Chilwell at left back. They are defenders, even though they're playing as wing backs. So he's playing with 5 defenders. He's playing with any two from Kante, Jorginho or Kovacic. They're all defensive midfield players. So he's playing with 7 defensive players. We're playing regularly with 5 and sometimes 6. He's playing with 7 defensive players. Then he plays with either Havertz or Mount, sometimes both of them, who are like number 10s or attacking midfield players. And he never plays, or very rarely plays, with more than one up top. He plays with Lukaku. Don't play with any wingers. He's got everybody behind the ball. when the opposition have got the ball and they play with one forward and they've won the European Cup and they're top of the league and they've scored 16 goals in the league and we've scored 16 goals in the league and we play with loads of attackers. We play with loads of attackers and not enough defenders. They've scored 16 goals. We've scored 16 goals. They've already played Liverpool. They've already played Manchester City. They've already played Arsenal. They've already played Spurs. They've already played Brentford away. Mark my words, that will be an hard game. Compared to our fixtures, they've had it proper tough. They're above us. They've got more points than us. They've scored just as many goals as us. I'm trying to explain that you get your defensive bit right, you get enough people behind the ball, and you can force the opposition back. You don't need loads of forwards to be able to score goals.
And that's the thing, when we press forward...
There's Pep style as well, and there's Klopp style. They don't play with a back five.
No, they all play different manners. We're playing with too many forwards. And all I'm saying is, I'm trying to explain what I was trying to explain before. You think I'm being defensive. I don't think it's defensive. I think it's attacking. I'm thinking like Tuchel thinks. We can press forward from the back. We've got enough people behind the ball that they're not going to get through us. We can force them back. Yeah, that's how he thinks.
Our first test of this.
That's how I think.
Their midfield compared to ours, though, in that situation is just very different. But anyway.
The first test of our season, I would have said, looking team-wise or whatever, was Aston Villa. You know, failed. Next game, Everton? We could have quite easily lost. Yeah, could have quite easily lost the Everton game if it hadn't been for somebody not being able to stay on side. 1-1, still it's 2 points dropped. And then we're into this game now against Leicester City. 4-2, convincingly beaten. It's madness, man. You look at it and it's like...
I tell you what, though, just going back to that, I mean, look, where we go from here, I do get the frustration about Solskjaer, and I think Ricky's right. And look, I hate to say this, but I'd like Ricky to manage United. I'd like me to manage United. I'd like any of our panel to manage United, because I genuinely think it's Friends United. I think Ollie walks in with a smile and Carrick walks in with a smile. I don't think they're telling them what to do. I don't think they're demanding what to do. I think it's bloody weak. I think it's weak management, and it comes across on the pitch because it's so fuzzy. But beyond that, you know, I agree with what Kev said, that this club is not going to sack Solskjaer. And I think it's a disgrace, because I think that we've had a really bad start to the season. We're already 5 points behind Chelsea. I don't know how that happened. I was listening to everyone telling me on the international break, we're only 2 points off the top. We're 5 now. After one game, we're 5. It's gone. The title's gone. Ollie himself
not played
said,
anyone.
It was gone, Villa.
Title contenders again in April. We're not even one in mid-October. It's title's gone. You're not catching Liverpool and Man City and Chelsea now. Bye-bye. See you later. That's getting bigger.
Gone in Villa, mate.
What you've got to do is look at the run of fixtures to see that. But the run of fixtures we've got.
My point is, should we not be deflecting a bit of our attention to the problem that we were looking at the end of last season, which is the ineptitude that runs this football club? Why are they not?
Mark,
Abramovich would sack Ollie ages ago.
This is it. Do you know what this comes back to for me? Everyone's talking about Liverpool and crazily ignoring Atalanta. I said this yesterday. I said everyone's looking ahead to these Premier League games. What is different in terms of the Glazers thinking, and like what Kev was saying there, we all know how they work and it goes right to the end. If United get it wrong against Atalanta and we drop out of this Champions League spot, Ronaldo being at this club and having to play for the first time in the Europa League in his career, he's going to kick up a shitstorm. And that, I think, will be the ultimate. And I don't think they'll be able to turn away from that. I really don't. I'm looking at Atalanta here. Funnily enough, they've got exactly the same record as us this season, except they're coming off an away win, 4-1, coming into this game in good form. And I'm looking at our defence and I'm going, this could be a problem here. Forget Liverpool, because if we've got our eyes on Liverpool, we're going to get done by Atalanta on Wednesday. And if the Champions League doesn't go well, can you? I said this. Can you imagine Varane and Ronaldo walking out to that poxy Europa League music at Old Trafford?
Not having it, man. I'm not having it.
Too much. It is too much, and I think that will be too much for the owners to take. I think for Ole, the Atalanta games are more important than the Liverpool game right now, because looking at the way the Glazers work, not how we look at the Liverpool game and how important that is. Looking at how, Mark, you said the Glazers work, I think the Champions League really is where he should be actually looking, because out of that, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard even for the Glazers and the hierarchy at United to accept that after the money that's been spent. I know how crap the group is.
Probably he's on the phone tonight going, Garricky, where's Norwich at home when we need them? We need Norwich.
You know what I said? I said yesterday, I said, I need Norwich to win a game soon, because it'll be United that they get that game against. You just know it with the way United are. Norwich need to win a game quickly, so it takes that out of the equation for us, because I fear us playing anything. Ricky mentioned Brentford there. We won't beat Brentford.
Brentford were unlucky to not get a draw against Chelsea. They are playing some good football, Brentford.
Exciting team to watch them.
And it does come down to a thing of, like, Manchester United signed Jadon Sancho, and fair enough, they wanted him last season. They managed to acquire him this season. For me, he wasn't necessarily a player that Manchester United needed, because we're blessed in that department. We've got a shitload of players that are there that can all play that position. But anyway, they went out and did it. But yet we've got a player, and this is the mismanagement of Manchester United again. We've got a player like Jesse Lingard that's been on loan at West Ham. He's been there, done it. West Ham would have done anything to sign him, but yet Ollie says he's part of the plans. Well, clearly he isn't, because he's not starting every game. But yet there's a player at West Ham that could have solved a massive problem for Manchester United in Declan Rice. Let's just, for argument's sake. So all you do is you go there, let's not sign this Sancho. We've got Greenwood, we've got Martial, we've got Rashford. We're all right there. What we'll do is then, if we're budgeting under the Glazers and all that, cash is tight, we go to West Ham and we say, right, you want Jesse Lingard, we want Declan Rice, we'll give you whatever, 70 million. The 70 million that we spent on Sancho, we'll give you Jesse Lingard, everyone's happy. There we go.
I still think we do need Sancho. I think I'm the only one who thinks that, because we don't have a right winger. Greenwood is there, but he's going to move into the forward line at some point. And
you can't play
Sancho's only 20.
You can't play two wide forwards. You've got to have a creator. You can't. Greenwood and Rashford are just going to cut inside, get the red down, and shoot. And Ronaldo's going to go, "Why am I here? What do you want me to do other than sell shirt sales?" And the Glazers will go, "Yeah, that's what you're here
for." Yeah.
If Rashford plays, I think Sancho's got to play on the other side, and that's just you can't have them both. And Sancho's going to provide chances to Ronaldo. He just needs to get embedded into the team. Which, for me, the fact that's still not happened. People say he has played minutes. He's played minutes, but he's not been embedded into the team. I mean, look how Jack Grealish got embedded into City's team straight away. That's not happened for him. He's not got his rhythm. He's not got his form, and this is what happens to a lot of our players. They'll drop in here and there for one game. It's like everyone's saying, Tellez is crap defensively. Look at all these mistakes he's made. Obviously, he's going to make a few mistakes. He never plays. We drop him in here and there, and he throws them players under the bus constantly. And that's another thing I'm extremely sick of. Some players get a complete free pass because they play every week and they're all his favourites. Players that come in and get thrown under the bus, no, they're automatically crap because what? They've not had any match fitness and they play once. And it's not absolutely amazing. So they're the problem. I feel like the way he manages certain players in that team is completely unfair. He might as well just have like a chart that says my favourites, people that I'm going to throw under the bus, because that's exactly what he has.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. And I suppose the good and bad thing is that there's just nowhere to hide in these fixtures. Ricky's right, Atalanta. We know we've got Liverpool. We've got City 2 weeks after that. You know, there's not going to be anywhere to hide. And one thing I think Gary Neville did say that was true, other than bloody hiding behind the fact that he doesn't want to say Ollie out, is that you know, he sort of suspected this might be the problem when United played against teams that have got half a chance, that can play a bit of football. and he said they're not the best, but Leicester have got a system. Everton have got a system, and United haven't got a system. And it's one of the saddest things, Ricky, for me, is like, United are one of the only. Oh, I mean, you might disagree, but for me, the thing that's annoying me the most at the moment is I'm watching United and I don't know what we're doing. At least when I watch Brentford or Brighton or Burnley, I know what they're doing. I know what Burnley do. I don't know what we do.
Yeah. To get the ball up to the big man, he's got to try and either flick it on or get it down, and then they can all get up the field. And Brentford, they push everybody up, don't they, when they've got a corner, so that they try and keep them penned in. That's a little bit like I'm trying to explain. When you do get up there, everybody goes forward. You've got enough players behind the ball that you can stop them from getting out. When we first started, I said I'd rather talk about the Liverpool game than the Atlanta game because I don't know much about Atlanta. But what I did notice, I don't know if you know this, but I was watching the Spurs and Newcastle today. Spurs look a lot better than us to me, like everybody does at the minute.
On that, Ricky, people will slag Spurs off and say, look at the meltdown they're in. They've played City, they've played Chelsea, and they've won more games than us and are higher than us in the league. So
I was one of those people, and I was sat there today. I was like, "Oh God, Spurs are in the mud."
Well, what I was going to say,
the league table, they're above us.
What I was going to say was, is he called Romero the centre back that plays for him? I didn't know this until I heard it in commentary today. He's on loan there from Atalanta. Now they look better than us, and they've got a player playing for them who's sort of been discarded by Atalanta. You know what I mean? Doesn't
good
sound
teammate. They're not a pushover outfit.
No.
It will be an open game if anything. Say that.
It's at home, isn't it?
No, it's away. Spurs.
Spurs is away. Atlanta's at home.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
We've got them twice. We've got Liverpool at home. We've got Atalanta, Liverpool. Then we're out the Carabao Cup, so we're not playing that week. Then we've got Spurs, Atalanta away, Man City.
Mark, when you said we're going to take how many points, Mark?
If Ollie survives
10 points.
We can't get 10 points now. I'm down to the 8, which I thought wasn't good enough. We're getting fucking 8. So
when you said 8 to me in a WhatsApp, I said to you, I'm not sure about that.
Well, we can only we've dropped 3 already, so 9, and you've got Man City and Liverpool. I think we're getting 5, aren't we?
Well,
really?
Look, this way, before we play Liverpool.
To get 5, Mark, it means we've got to remain unbeaten against Liverpool, City, and Spurs.
That's what I mean. At best, we're getting 5. We'll win 1 and draw 2.
Not a chance.
Before United play Liverpool on Sunday, we could be mid-table with Arsenal ahead of us.
Don't stop.
Good start to the season, yeah. Okay, whatever.
Mate, I mean, look, we will sort of finish up on that point. Next week, we'll probably all be on at some point. We lose to Liverpool next week. I'm going to say right here, right now, we lose to Liverpool next week. I'll say those words. I will. Those words that are below this hand. We lose to Liverpool next week.
I thought you pointed
Why are you not saying it now?
Because I do think that he deserves that Liverpool game. And I'll go back to what we were talking about, Kev. I think it is sentimentality. I do. I think it is. I think we're trapped in sentimentality. He loses that game, and that's where I am.
And that's where it is, Mark. Because if this was Sam Allardyce or Sean Dyche or whatever,
I already would be.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. It's sentiment, the romanticism of the fact of, and
at least I'm honest. At least I'm honest. That I think it's wrong, but it's.
I get that. The thing that I do not like is the people that disrespect Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. The people that say, "Oh, all he's famous for is tapping in a goal against Barcelona." You know what? Tapping in a goal against Barcelona. What, the greatest night in Manchester United's history?
Yeah, show some fucking respect. I bet they weren't even alive, Kev.
Exactly.
Don't disrespect. Don't disrespect.
Bayern Munich, sorry. At Barcelona.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I mean, I'll never name the person, but I was at an evening with Ryan Giggs. I've just named the person there. It's not really. It wasn't Ryan Giggs. And I was talking to this guy who was proper mank, probably about in his early 50s. And I thought he was going to be adamantly Ollie in. And what he said is, I struggle with the way he plays. I'll always back him, but I have to differentiate the player and the manager, because the player, I'd run in front of a bus for him, which I laughed and went, he'd be at the wheel. But he said I'd walk in front of a bus for Ollie, and but as a player, but I can't take that player to the manager. But the problem is, I will. And that's the problem. Everybody looks at Ollie, the player, as the manager and emotionally attached. And really, if he was Jose Mourinho, we'd be all sat here now saying he's got to go. He gets more time because of it for me.
The only thing I'd be gutted about is if we do end up going out of the Champions League group and end up in the Europa League and then Ollie gets sacked inevitably anyway. I'd rather have someone new in now to get us through the Champions League, because dropping out the Champions League for me is just not even an option. I cannot sit for Europa League football again. And you look at the time, I thought it was harsh, sacking Lampard and getting Tuchel in. Look what happened. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you can't wait. And if I saw any type of a direction that we were going in, any type of a style or anything, and you could see what the plan was, I would be more lenient towards it. But I just can't see a direction. I can't see anything.
I can't believe you'd want Ollie sat there in a press conference saying it's a chance of another trophy being in Europa League, Beth. I can't understand it. No,
Europa League to me is like bloody lockdown. I'm not going in another lockdown. I'm not going back in the Europa League. I refuse it. If Boris Johnson says we're having another lockdown, I'm not doing it. And if Ollie thinks we're going back in the Europa League, we're fucking not. I'll protest against that. I'm not having it. We're not going back in the Europa League.
No way.
The cycle is you get in the Europa League and you're gutted, and then you actually start winning. You get far into the competition and you think, oh, we could actually win a trophy here. And then you get into it, and then next thing you know, you've lost the final, you've lost the semi-final, and then you're like gutted again, and the cycle goes round and round out of the Champions League.
Anyway, let's not dodge the question. Beth, you're on the camera there. If we lose next week, I mean, you might already be Ollie out now, but if we lose next week against Liverpool, is it time to go, Ollie?
For me, it's so hard because, like you said, it is sentimental. And obviously, I wasn't alive when the final happened, but I know all the history and stuff. And he seems like a genuinely nice guy, and I appreciate everything he's done for us. I think he's built a good squad. But for me, even right now in this moment in time, like, I don't see a future with him as manager. So for me, I would make that change personally. Yeah.
Ricky?
Yeah, I agree. It's a sickener because I like the guy you spoke to. I absolutely loved him as a footballer. It absolutely astonishes me how players can be such great footballers and just not really understand the game and understand putting a team together. We spoke about Gary Neville earlier. He tried it in Valencia, didn't he? Didn't he get one win out of 11 games or something? And but when they hear Gary Neville speak on the telly, he doesn't understand the game. Going back to what I said at the start of the programme, you know, it's only 2 weeks ago he was saying we need Pogba, Ronaldo, Cavani, Greenwood, and Sancho all playing, and now it's sort of dawning on him. Don't know if he's been watching one or two of my old shows. I don't know, but it's dawning on him. He's putting forwards. He does not understand the game. I don't care how good a player he was. He doesn't understand. And Solskjaer, he doesn't understand. He doesn't get it. I was trying to cut in there, Beth, when you spoke. You just mentioned Tuchel again, because, I've been trying to explain to you about me not being defensive. If we'd have taken Tuchel and sacked Ollie when they did it with Lampard, we would now be riding at the top of the league. We would be playing better, and we would be scoring more goals, mark my words, and we'd be playing with one striker, not three. We'd be playing with one.
Yeah, well,
Adam, are you already there, or if he loses against Liverpool, or are you like, no, let's give it more time?
Mate, the journeys are getting harder and harder, mate. They really are. Like you said, you look at Aston Villa, Everton, Leicester, 1 point. We're looking like we're trying to scrape 1 point out of the next 3 games. That's not good enough. It's not good enough. Out of 2 trophies already. I said at the start of the season, he shouldn't have got that new deal. It would have made this a lot easier. And I wanted him to learn from his mistakes, and he's blew it. He's blew it after 2 months of the season. He really has. So for me, if he does lose, I think he's pretty much there already for me, because I can't see it working for him. I think he's just blinded. He's blinded by his own team and what this club is about and everything that comes with it. And for me, he's just not got the right ideas. He hasn't got the qualities. He hasn't got the pedigree. We wanted to give him a chance. He's had that chance, but right now I'm seeing no plan, like Beth said, and there's not even a sign that these players are going to play for him. This so-called rebuild that he's done, which is good, I think Donny's going to leave. James is gone. Pogba's going to leave. Lingard's not signed yet. Players aren't. The rebuild is already falling apart in my eyes. And it's like you asked, Lampard was a bigger legend to Chelsea than what Solskjaer is to United. That's a fact.
When you talk about the rebuild, Adam, let me cut in here. When you talk about the rebuild, I did a pretty.
I've got him going here.
He's been playing Football Manager again. He's going to tell us about his rebuild.
Reel him in.
About Lukaku, right? And everybody ridiculed me at the time. I said, look, get Lukaku fit, get him scoring goals, work around him, build your team around him. Look at him now. He's won Serie A. People said, oh, just Serie A. Now he's top of the league with Chelsea. He's important to how Chelsea play. Whether we like him as a player or not. We sold him for 70 million and Inter Milan sold him for 100 million. This rebuild bollocks that we're talking about, it's gone backwards.
I'm not on it. I'm not on Ronaldo's strengths.
I'm not
Adam,
on the rebuild.
shove your rebuild up your fucking arse. I'm with Ricky.
I've not got a rebuild. I'm not with it. I don't think there's a rebuild. I'm not having this rebuild bollocks. I think again it goes down to coaching. As soon as Conte got hold of Lukaku, he went diet, fitness program, get yourself back in the Everton shape. And then he became the player that Ricky just talked about. Under United,
we've got Ronaldo.
Clown.
Do you think Lukaku's been
world
class since he's come back to Chelsea? I don't think he has.
No, he's struggling now, but he was world class at Inter Milan on international level.
He scores goals. He's playing absolutely. He's playing fantastic.
This isn't the point.
Absolutely fantastic.
This isn't the point. This isn't the point, is it? We're on United and the rebuild.
You're all thinking about his goals have dried up. That's all you're thinking about. Is vital to how Chelsea play. He pins his defender. He's a big horse. The defender can't get round him. They play it into his feet and he lays it off and they're in. That's why they've scored just as many goals as us against the teams they've played against. Liverpool, City, Spurs, Arsenal. Is vital to how they're playing. Don't just look at his goals drying up.
Cavani is for United.
I'm not just sat there looking at his goals. That's not what I'm doing. Personally, for me, I don't rate him as a striker. I think he's a little bit slow. I think he's got no first touch, and I don't think he can pass the ball very well.
Hey,
that's just
that's
just my opinion as a striker. I'm not just looking at his goals. I don't just sit there and do that. I actually watch the game.
Anyway, back to where we was. I wasn't talking about Lukaku now. I was talking what Conte turned him into, which is why Chelsea bought him. We all knew the problems with Lukaku at United, but Conte made a player out of him and he made it work. Again, comes down, backed on onto Martial and Rashford, Martial as well. Comes down to coaching at the end of the day and brings me back to the point that Mark did start with before we went off on a completely different angle, that Ole he's not shown me any sign that he's going to make any of these players better. We're going to play any better. It's the same that it's been for the last 2 years. And that is the reason why I don't think we're going to get this trophy. And Ollie will not last at Manchester United.
Kevin, are you Ollie out now? Does Liverpool tip you over?
Brilliant question, mate. Can I be a politician?
No, don't do an Ollie on us. Don't do an Ollie on us.
Can I make any excuses? No. Listen, at this moment in time,
I can give you some tips. It's fine margins. We've got lots of plans, and we'll go again.
Yeah.
And you run and block,
bounce back, run about, block, tackle.
Well, that's the thing. Listen, it was a bad result. We go again. We regroup and we just go again, and we try and beat Liverpool.
He's not answered the bloody question, has he?
You see what I'm doing here, man? I'm trying to be a politician.
Well,
if you're asking me on, listen, Matt, if you're asking me on yesterday, and I mean, nobody seen me. I was in the vicinity of my own house or whatever, but I'm fuming, absolutely fuming. And it's not like I'm pushing the panic button. And I've been here before. I've been here with you, Mark, before, with Van Gaal and Mourinho on the United stand when we've done this and we get to this certain stage and you just know when you're like, just listen, sentiment, romanticism, whatever we've only gone to Solskjaer. I'll always love him. I'm not going to sag him off. I'm not going to say anything about this, that, but there comes to a stage. And like I said earlier, my analogy of him building up the bricks and getting to a certain stage where he can't take it any further. you know, you need to get the joiner in, the roofer or whatever to put the roof on top of the house. I think we've reached that kind of ceiling now where you look at it and you go, no, seriously, a better manager, somebody more experienced could and would get more out of this current squad. No doubt about it. We've got individual players that are absolutely brilliant, and that's where I'm at now. Exactly where I'm at.
Beth, you're getting a little bit of stick for being anti-Lukaku.
When I said he was slow, I didn't mean his pace was slow. I mean, when he's in the box, I feel like he's slow. He's for me, he's just not my type of striker, and that's just my opinion.
I agree. I thought it was right to sell him.
Can I ask one question?
I would hope I'd have more respect that I don't just sit there and look at his goals.
Can I ask you one question? Let me ask you one question. If we was to say to Thomas Tuchel now, we'll give you both Cavani and Ronaldo for Lukaku, what do you think he'd say?
I don't know what he'd say, but I'm not saying what Tuchel would want. I'm saying, in my opinion, I don't think he's as good as Ronaldo or Cavani. That's just my opinion.
I agree.
He's not my type of striker. He's really not.
Cavani's better than Lukaku.
And Ronaldo is better than both. Anyway, what a show it's been. I just want to say, actually, just something dropped into my head. I can't remember who said it, talking about emotions. Never forget that if we had a board that was competent, we all sang a song, and I was there. Ollie's at the wheel, right? The board
still singing
ain't meant to do that. The board are meant to do. Ed Woodward sacked Mourinho and said in December, we won't make any rash decisions. We're going to wait till the summer. He gets Ollie in as an interim, and in March, he hears everyone singing and decides he's going to put an half and half scarf on and start singing it as well with a bloody contract in the hand. The minute Ollie got that contract at March, our season fell fucking apart in April. We got stuffed by Everton. We didn't finish in the top 4, but he'd already handed him the contract. All he had to do was wait a month as the CEO, not start singing with the fans and emotions. If he'd have waited a month till the end of the season and we'd have fell apart, Ollie wouldn't even be the manager. Or Ollie would have kept the run going, and we would have been in the Champions League. We ended up not in the Champions League and with a 2-year contract. And that's down to Woodward and the Glazers because they're prats. Anyway, thanks everyone for coming on. Thanks, Beth.
It's great. It's been a great discussion.
It's been an epic show. I mean, hopefully we won't have to do too many of these. It's been a 2-hour show because we could talk and talk and talk. But thanks for coming on, Adam.
Yeah, no, anytime, mate. Anytime. It's been a long weekend.
It has. Kev?
Yeah, sound.
And Ricky, nice to have you back. Is that it? Is this one of those? I'm trying to think of somebody who just comes back. It's not like New Year's Eve. You just come out once a year. Are you back or what?
It was great. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'll tell you what I will do. I don't know how long this will take, but I'll definitely come back on when he's gone.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
see you next week then.
Penciled in.
It's like Ronaldo coming back to Man United, but I'd say Ricky's played better tonight, to be honest, in fairness to him.
We've
seen Romano's tweet. Sorry.
No. What's
Manchester United is still backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. They expect this situation to improve in the next weeks. Of course, not happy with the last results and team performances, but club still protecting manager.
Yeah,
have a good
funny enough, that's well timed because we've got Romano on tomorrow afternoon, so we can talk about that. But before that, we've got Paul Ince on at 9:30, and he's not an ex-player who's protecting his mate because he's never spoken to Solskjaer, so he will probably give it quite straight. And so looking forward to Ince in the morning, Romano in the afternoon, and we'll have a show for you tomorrow night as well. But look, really, really enjoyed it. What a show it's been. Thanks to all my guests. Thanks to all the viewers. It's been a great, great show. Make sure you smash a like and stay tuned for more in the future.